All right, let's see. Hang on. Hey, what's happening, everybody? Tonight we're going to do the Haunted Mansion holiday. So the overlay over at the Haunted Mansion that happens over at Disneyland as well as Tokyo. Just got to bring in Kate. Hey, Emily, how are you? Ooh. What's going on, Jess? Happy Friday. How's everybody doing? Oh. Yeah, one last Christmassy vibe before the New Year's, you know? So close to New Year's Eve. And I'm rocking, this is the Haunted Mansion Madame Leota spirit jersey, and I've got a little bit of Christmas because we're doing Haunted Mansion holiday tonight. As soon as Kate is in, we're going to tell you basically about the entire attraction. And some of the scenes, there's like, I gotta be honest with you. I've ridden it once, and then I've done like POVs on YouTube to prep for this. I still don't know a lot. I took a bunch of notes and wrote things down. There's so much to unpack here, and I feel like there's like a billion Easter eggs that I'll never find. You know. E-Rock, what's going on? What's up, Robbie? Yeah, I know. She was reading parts of her book, which shout out to her. Kate Grasso, if you look on Amazon, you can find Kate's book. Hang on, I can pull it up while she's coming along. Hey, howdy, hey.
Hello.
Hello.
Sorry, I'm a few minutes
No,
late.
you're good. I was just plugging you. Hang on, let me plug away. Let me plug away, because it's a big day. It's a big day. The book is out.
Yeah, it's here. It's
A
arrived.
Glimpse of the Magic, Finding Ourselves in the Disney Story by Kate Grasso. Can be found on Amazon and Amazon Prime, so you can get it. Or if you're real, you want to get it like immediately, you can get it on Kindle and read it right now.
Yeah, it's available, and also it's on Barnes and Noble in both print and in a electronic ebook, and then Apple Books and Google Play and Kobo. So virtually anywhere you get your books from, it's there.
Sweet.
Yeah.
I bought my copy. I don't know if my
Thank
rating's
you.
on here. I know I put one. No, it's not me. But I did put one. It said it might take like a day to like upload or something. I was like, all right.
Yeah, sometimes
Get
they
it.
have to approve reviews and things.
Yeah, well, my review was like, this is trash, don't buy it. So, just kidding. I bought my copy. So,
Like, thanks for that.
no, buy it.
Oh.
But seriously, I was one of the few people who was allowed to pre kind of screen it, and I thought it was fantastic. I told you I got very emotional a couple of times because just thinking about my family and how we enjoy the parks, and of course, I'm a Disney nerd, so it's a combination of those stories. But what I think you do best, which is what you do in your TikToks, is taking something that's really heady and interesting and obscure history-wise, and then coupling it with reality and something that's applicable to how everyone normally functions in their everyday life. It's like, how does Disney fit whatever you're doing?
Yeah, like it's a lot of like how do we process
Mm-hmm.
like why we love Disney, and also like how does it connect back to our lives, and it's just a lot of it's just like cerebral things I think about,
Mm-hmm.
but it really is kind of there's a reason why we're so obsessed with Disney.
Yeah,
This kind of
yeah.
explores some of that, I think. So.
I had a question in the chat. Which place do you prefer people purchasing from? Is there a place that you
Oh,
would?
I think Amazon, I might get the greatest percentage with
So
royalties and things.
Amazon,
So
and probably Amazon, it's the biggest marketplace. So
yeah,
that's a win-win. Get
yeah.
paid more, and the more people that buy from there, the better.
Yeah, it's fairly negligible amongst them, but I'd say Amazon's probably the best.
There you
So,
go.
yeah, thank you. And thanks to everybody who's already purchased. I could not
Mm-hmm.
believe that when it released yesterday, it was like #1 in its new releases for amusement parks and theme parks. So it was a wild, wild day to
That's
see
pretty
it.
cool.
I know it's like number 13 or something right now in like all of Disney theme park books. It's like number 13, which is really amazing.
Well,
So
I told you this in confidence, but I'll tell the world is I said there's not many people who can because there's really like a dichotomy. It's like pure travel tips or really dry history. Like there's
yeah,
no real wiggle room. Like it's like you want to learn how to do your trip better. Here's 1,000 things, and there's like you know what's crazy to me? There's only like 2 hidden Mickey books, and there's only
yeah.
like 3 find Easter eggs in the parks books, and I'm like, there's like a big wide open space here,
There's
you
a
know?
lot of Disney things that people don't write about that really I'm shocked that people aren't writing more about Disney. And
Yeah,
I don't know
and
why that is, but I'm going to write some.
and
So,
here you are
here I
filling
am.
that gap with a glimpse of the magic.
A glimpse of the magic. Yes, I want. You know what's funny is that I ordered weeks ago. I pre-ordered my like author copy so I could have it for today.
Yeah.
And with all the weather and stuff that happened, it just like never arrived. So it's supposed to come tomorrow. And I'm like, great.
Well, isn't that like very fitting, right? Like,
So
you know,
ironic.
yeah. I mean, that's just life. Like nothing ever shows up on time. But you know what? Like, you gotta admit, like you're doing things. Like I know that seems like so dumb to say, but like like you wrote a book and you published a book and it's on like people can buy it and read your words. Like I think that's so cool. That's something really it's very special.
It's it's a little bit surreal. Like it's like that I have a book on Amazon. Like what
Yeah,
life
like
am I living?
that's well, think about that. Like I don't even know what percentage of people have one any published work anywhere, but two on the largest marketplace, uh, and at least in the States. So I mean that's like unbelievable.
It's wild. It's like available around the world, which is crazy.
And
It's like
I'll also say this in front of everybody because we're family. Is that at least we can say that we knew her before she left us and was like walking and
I'm not going anywhere.
putting her handprints in front of some sort of book author theater. I don't know what they do, like a library
They
in
should do that. I don't think they do that, but they
I don't
should.
think they should.
The Golden Library, the Chinese library.
Yeah, I don't know where like the author Hall of Fame is, you know, where it's just nothing but like people typing and not talking to anyone,
Or
working
just
on
reading.
deadlines wherever that is,
Silent
or that.
reading.
Yeah.
Oh, well, thank you. And thanks for
No
the
worries.
plug. I really appreciate that. And
Yeah.
I'm just, yes, I'm just so thankful for all. I thank you, Kirk, for pre-reading it. I know Jackie was one of those as well. I had a couple people that pre-read it for me, and I'm really excited now that I can start working. I'm like, not start working. I can finish my other book because I'm 2/3 of the way through my novel that is about live streamers in the parks. So it's gonna be wild.
I don't
Only
know. I don't live that life, so I don't know what that's is. I'm excited to learn more.
Yeah, it is. It's actually a very sweet story. A little bit of suspense. It's a romantic suspense, and it's not any particular person in real life. There are some scenarios that I have inspiration from, but it's completely fictional. And they love Disney history, so there's a lot of Disney history in it. So it'll be fun. But
Live streamers. They
live
honestly,
streamers.
they're ruining the parks.
They have so much drama. If I took the actual stuff that live streamers do and put in a book, I could make millions. I'll tell you. Like
Oh,
it's
dude, it
wild.
is.
You can't make that stuff up.
There is. Yeah, there's. You know, and I say this all the time when I'm on stream. We all have to realize that we're just people, and like everyone else is people. Like, just be
Yeah.
cool. Like,
Yeah.
honestly, it's not that hard to just be like decent and honest and respectful. And like, just be like, do you know who I am? I'm on TikTok. Okay, cool.
So is like a million other people. Like,
So is a kid who talks about corn, and I guarantee more people know about him.
the corn kid.
He's killing it.
I love the corn kid. He's so great. Oh gosh. Well,
Anywho's, so you ready?
I'm ready. Yes. Let's do
Good.
this.
That was a good sequitur. Welcome to another episode of Distory. with always us is Kate, the Disney Cicerone, and myself, Kirk from Walrus Carb. Today we are celebrating the amazing publication of her book, A Glimpse of the Magic, available on Amazon to download for your Kindle or, of course, through Prime, because everyone needs everything the next day. Kate, how are we doing this evening?
I'm doing unbelievably good. I feel overwhelmed and excited, and I cannot believe that like my journey has brought me here to the point where I'm publishing a book. But how wonderful it is that we also get to do Distory on this day when all this exciting stuff is happening. And also thank you, thank you to everybody who has purchased the book. I really, really appreciate all the support. But let's talk about what we're here today for. I think we're rounding out the year. And this year has been big for Distory. It's our first year of our podcast.
Yeah, I mean, we've done quite a few of these. We've spent a lot
I think
of
it's
time.
like 35 episodes, maybe. It's a lot.
It's a lot, and if you think about it, it's way more than a day's worth of listening because some of those were like 3-hour episodes. So,
I think, well, so we had like our year-end wrap for our podcast from Spotify, right? And they gave us like, I think they upped it. It's like we made more content than 99% of the other creators in the history category on Spotify.
Take that, you nerds. We'll out-nerd the even nerdiest of nerds. I mean, there is so much truth to it, though. I think like the average podcast that people start, usually they fall off by episode 8. I think that's like more than 90% or 95% of podcasts stop by episode 8. So like it's amazing what you can do if you just keep going. And we have no problem talking about Disney history.
We keep going.
You
can't stop us.
At some point, Spotify's gonna be like, "Listen, you gotta stop. Like it's a little excessive."
Well, and what we also did that was excessive this year was talk about the Haunted Mansion a lot.
Yeah, so we figured why not before the new year talk about it some more.
Let's do it.
So tonight was really exciting because we actually were tossing a couple of topics and ideas, and the Haunted Mansion kept on being the one that we circled back to. And I just said, you know what? I know we can do this in a truncated fashion. We don't have to go ad nauseum with it because I think a lot of people don't even know that this exists. I know that sounds crazy, but I think there's not as many people are familiar with the fact that Disneyland does an entire holiday overlay that goes and spans a good portion of the year, going through Halloween all the way through New Year's. Yeah,
it's big and it's huge. I think it's the most popular the Haunted Mansion ever is at Disneyland is during that time. Like it's weird because it's not as popular as like the Walt Disney World version is like one of the main attractions in Magic Kingdom. But there's so many attractions in Disneyland. It's kind of like more, it's not, I wouldn't say minor because I feel like that's taking too much away from it, but it's not as in demand for most of the year at Disneyland that is at Disney World. But except during Haunted Mansion holiday, it is slammed like the entire time.
I think that's so strange too. What would you say, just real quick without getting into the weeds, what would you say is the number one attraction outside of this, like almost guaranteed throughout the year, or like one or two
in Disneyland? Gosh, that's so hard. I mean, it's like the big ones. It's like Space and Splash. Probably Space and Matterhorn. Matterhorn's a big one. That one's almost always slammed except for first thing in the morning. And Peter Pan. Like people always love Peter Pan. That's like a go-to. So I'd say those are the three biggest.
Yeah. All good choices and all very uniquely different than our counterparts here in Florida as well. So.
Well, I mean, I think Rise is also in there too, but I'm thinking more like the classic attractions,
Yeah, you can't.
Rise is just popular.
Rise is always, it's going to always be popular. Star Wars. So
yeah.
So, taking us back, I don't know where you want to start, but I kind of want to start in. Dude, how far do you want to really go back? Hang on, let me find. I'm trying to find. I would like to start all the way back in 1983. Is that okay?
That's fine, because I think we have to talk at least a little bit about the movie, or this doesn't make any sense. So
yeah. Yeah, so
let's do
I'm
that.
going before the film, and we're going to Tim Burton when he was an animator. So most people know Tim Burton, of course, for his like really gothic and dark takes on some really interesting stories. But Tim Burton was an animator for a long time at Disney.
Mhm.
And while he was there as an animator, he wrote a poem that was called The Nightmare Before Christmas, which eventually gets made into the film back in 1993. I just want to read really, really quickly one section because I just think it encapsulates what is going to happen, not only in the attraction, but then, of course, in the film. In Halloween, and this is a part of Tim Burton's poem. In Halloween, everyone gathered once more, for they'd never seen a Santa before. And as they cautiously gazed at this strange old man, Jack related to Santa his masterful plan. My dear Mr. Claus, I think it's a crime that you've got to be Santa all of the time. But now I will give presents and I will spread cheer. We're changing places. I'm Santa this year. It is I who will say Merry Christmas to you, so you may lie in my coffin, creak doors, and yell boo. And please, Mr. Claus, don't think ill of my plan, for I'll do my best Santa job. That I can. It's a
Yeah.
great story. I mean, this poem is long. Like, I couldn't read it on here. It'd
No.
probably take like a good solid, like 5, 10 minutes, especially with like good intonation. But check out that poem if you didn't know that actually existed, because it's a really cool like prequel to you get the underpinnings of where Nightmare came.
Well, yeah, and he before 1983. I'm going to go back 1 year back further than that because
Oh,
you
I
got
like
it.
it.
We have to talk about um, really briefly the short film Vincent that Tim Burton made in
We're talking
1982.
about we're going to show the very first incident of Jack. Is that what we're going to go with?
I was just going to mention it. I didn't know how much because we have so much to go through for this. So,
I know, dude, but you know us, like
but I
we
do love.
ruined everything.
I know. I have a quote from like Tim Burton was really fascinated with the holidays during his childhood. Said anytime there was Christmas or Halloween, it was great. It gave you some sort of texture, and all of a sudden that wasn't there before. So I think he loved the idea that like it just was like transformed. Everything was transformed, which is so great for this like overlay that we're going to get. That like everything just becomes completely different than it was. But yes, Vincent in 1982 was a was kind of his first like short film, and it's definitely Tim Burton style. It's got all the things. I don't have a lot to say about this because I stuck mostly to Nightmare Before Christmas. But
Well, there
do you
he
have something
is.
about it?
No, just there he is. Like this is the
Yeah,
first like representation of what eventually ends up being the Jack Skellington that we know and love.
yeah, and it's he also drew. Tim Burton drew inspiration from television specials like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, How the Grinch Stole Christmas, and A Visit from St. Nicholas. He used to like grow up watching those. So this is he said in an interview that I watched. He said that it was like the idea of the Grinch stealing Christmas. He takes everything away. Well, this is like instead it's like the guy like bringing Christmas. So it's like this just the reverse of How the Grinch Stole Christmas, which I
Hmm.
loved. And his also the name Vincent is really important not only in the Haunted Mansion overlay, but also Vincent Price was one of his favorite actors, and he was considered as a voice actor for a lot of this project. So Vincent Price and then Vincent. So the name Vincent itself is very important to remember as we walk through the
Hmm.
Haunted Mansion holiday overlay. Should we talk a little bit about the movie itself?
Yeah, I just wanted to do this is like an aside, but I think it's important. And this actually happens in 1988. Where is my picture of this?
It was when he, okay,
For
so,
for
well, in
I'm gonna pull.
1984, he was fired from Disney Studios. And a lot of people thought, like, the project of, he had been working on The Nightmare Before Christmas, but the project stalled because basically everybody thought it was just too weird for the company. And then they fired him. And so he left Disney. did a
Right.
few other things.
And one of those things in 1988, somebody said, "Oh wow, it looks a lot like Beetlejuice." Would you be correct? Because in 1988 he directed Beetlejuice. So a lot of that claymation kind of look and feel certainly comes from Beetlejuice, and in fact we get another Jack Skellington type character, also very reminiscent of your beau.
Yeah. Oh, my beau. Yes.
Yeah,
I'm
your
like
beau.
my beau, like my boyfriend. Like who are you
My
talking
no, like not like
about?
your boo, your bay, your bay. What do you say? My beau.
Like what? No.
You're
Yep. Yes.
yeah.
Very iconic. Nightmare Before
And
Christmas
I
beau.
also feel like those that sand monster thing, whatever
Oh,
those things were called.
yes. Oh, I have a
Very
whole bunch
much.
about that.
Okay.
Let me find it. So I have to scroll down 6 pages to get to it. Good Lord. Okay, I think it's in the attic. Okay, so the snake greatly resembles the sandworms from Tim Burton's 1988 dark comedy Beetlejuice. The film's sandworms are aliens from Saturn, which devour ghosts who are transported to the planet by paranormal means. But the sandworms were inspired by the 1965 science fiction novel Dune by Frank Herbert. And there's giant
Really?
monsters that swim through the sand under the planet of, I'm going to mispronounce this, Arrakis. Their larvae created a prized narcotic known as melange or the spice. So that was, and then that idea of the sandworms could have come from a real life cryptid known as the Mongolian death worm, an intestine-like creature that swims in sand and is highly toxic. So there's sandworms are a thing, especially in like sci-fi. So they've been around. It's not a new creature, but I love how they just keep like kind of coming up. So we got Dune, we got Beetlejuice, and then we have The Nightmare Before Christmas. So
And then we have Kevin Bacon. Only these sandworms tremored. Did you ever see that film?
no.
What?
Oh, is it Tremor?
It's
Tremor
called
is the one you're
Tremors.
talking about. I think Elliot wanted me to watch it once, and I didn't.
Oh my gosh, it's iconic. Hang on. I mean, it's like one of Kevin
Tremors.
Bacon's like
Okay.
first films, and it's literally about sandworms. Like there's like literally, it's
There
all
you
it is.
go. So,
So
a
there you
trope
go. You
that
can-
we know well throughout sci-fi is the sandworm
Sandworms.
concept. So Tim Burton also did Edward Scissorhands too, I believe. So
Yep.
he did like all those kind of like creepy, spooky things that we think of that time era. That he was probably involved with it. That was kind of his style. So in 1990, Tim Burton found out that Disney still owned the rights to Nightmare Before Christmas. Now, and so then he basically gets hired back with Disney. He and Henry Selick committed to produce a full-length film. Henry Selick is going to direct it, and because Burton had all the success over in Warner Brothers, our friend Jeffrey Katzenberg was like, "Hey, you
Golden
wanna
Child.
come back?" He's like, "We're having all these like this streak of success with animation, but you come back and work for us." So that's how he kind of ends up back, is because of Jeffrey Katzenberg. So so he couldn't actually direct it because he had a commitment to Batman Returns, which he was doing at the same time. So he didn't actually like direct it. And he was involved with the project, but he wasn't on set all that often from what I've read. He was just there every once in a while. I don't know if you had some, I didn't want to, I've been talking for a while. So I'm like,
Nope, you're good.
I have a couple really fun pictures from like behind the scenes. There's a really neat documentary that's out there that's just kind of like behind the scenes making of Nightmare Before Christmas, and I highly recommend it. It's like a 25-minute watch. It's free. It's like online, but they actually tell the story of how they do all the things. Here's a great picture of Henry and Tim Burton on set for once.
It took a
Working.
very, 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 very long time to make this film.
Yes, it was. They were committed.
Painstaking.
It's actually really impressive, the creative process that they went. I mean, they talk about making all of the different figures and how they have to make them so they're posable, right? And so the machine shop has to make these like exact figures, and then they make them into all these kinds of molds, and then they put like this foam mold around it, and then they send it to the people who do the dressing on it, and they paint it, and they like do all the, it's involved. And that's just like to create the models, and they have to make multiple of them because they have what, 20 sound stages for filming. So they were like all at once, 20 sound stages and a crew of over 120 workers. And then they had 109 26,440 frames taken for the film because it was shot in 25, 24, 25 frames per second. So they had to have 25 frames, pictures, per second of film. That's how, and so every time they would move the characters, take a picture, move the characters, take a picture, stop motion animation. And it is, I mean, they said if they got one thing wrong in it, they had to redo the whole thing. So it took forever. Crazy.
Did you move his thumb?
Oh, we have to go back. They said it was
another
really
20,000 frames.
Oh my gosh, they said it was so high stress because if you made a tiny little error in like lighting or you move the camera or you move the thing the wrong way, they had to reshoot the whole thing. I'm like, that's crazy. And then they said the animators, they had to make it so the animators could reach everything within 2 feet. So even in their like set design, like here's a picture of like a model of the set. This wasn't the actual set. They had to make it so that they even had little trap doors that they could reach their hands in from the bottom to be able to move the figures. But everywhere had to be a 2-foot reach for the animators so they could comfortably do their job.
It's unreal.
Yeah. Yeah. It was wild. So I loved also they had 400 heads for Jack because of all of his expressions.
Yeah, they literally had, and it was like a briefcase. Like they would just like open up, and it was all the heads that they would just
I've got it.
put them on there.
Kind of a blurry picture, but you can see kind of his heads. And they would just adjust his heads.
Put new heads on.
But for Sally, because they didn't want to mess with her hair, she just had a mask for a face that they would take off and then like put a new face on.
Yeah, it like literally ripped her face off, like not his whole head, like a face.
It's just wild. So, yes, lots and lots of painstaking work to get all of that done. And like, even if you're not a huge Tim Burton fan or not like a fan of the style of animation or it's too spooky or scary, whatever, it's still really impressive the amount of work and artistry that went into creating the textures, the colors, the shapes, the characters, the design. It's amazing.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. I'm not a big fan of a lot of his like stylistic decisions except for Nightmare. Like that one I really, really enjoy. And Beetlejuice. But like I wasn't a crazy fan of Vincent or the Willy Wonka take or the Alice in Wonderland takes. Like just not my style.
Yeah. I'm not a huge fan of those ones either, but I do like Nightmare Before Christmas because it's so artistically done.
It's fantastic.
Like you can see there's good old Santa Claus and Oogie Boogie's wheel, and that's the scale that they're shooting at, which I think is really interesting.
Yeah. That's so cool. Yeah, it should that was, so Britt was saying how it makes her appreciate the film even more, which I think once again, like these are things that are kind of commonplace to us. Like when I think about the attractions or the way that they do film process, like a lot of it is like commonplace, but it's not like so many people don't know a lot of this stuff. So it's really cool. Santa's bloomers.
I do love his like bloomers under
or
his,
or pantaloons. Would they do pantaloons?
Pantaloons. Captain Jack in James and the Giant Peach is also, they use the same stop motion figurine for him. So if you ever watch James and the Giant Peach, it's also just Jack. So he shows up there, just as a little aside. And I found a really interesting quote that talks about the style of all of it, really. And he said, "When we reach Halloween Town, it's entirely German expressionism. When Jack enters Christmas Town, it's an outrageous Dr. Seuss-esque set piece. And finally, when Jack is delivering presents in the real world, everything is plain, simple, and perfectly aligned." So if you think about that, it's like German... It's your clock again.
must be 9:00.
Yeah.
And coincidentally, this song is going to come back when we see Little Miss Madame Leota. Although I don't think it goes through every single day of Christmas, thank God.
Okay, so those of you who are not familiar with German expressionism, it's very harsh lines, dark, angular, very, like, you think of Halloween Town, German expressionism, very like that. And so they said the only colors they were allowed to use were, I think, black, gray, and orange, or black, white, and orange. So that's what you see in Halloween Town, are those colors. And then you think of it really does look like Dr. Seuss. Now that I watch that film again, I was like, oh, it's Dr. Seuss. That's all Christmas Town is Dr. Seuss land. And then the real world's the real world.
Yeah, I love
Boring,
that.
boring, plain. Real world.
Oh, what's this? What's this? There's something in the air. And I love when he's putting the like in his like hollowed out sections of his eyes when he puts the lights in there. That just
Yes,
to me that's like a really great metaphor for him
it is.
for like the
Yeah,
transformation of his character at that point.
yeah.
It's
You
really
see so
beautifully
much
done. I
more.
mean, it's a
Yeah.
great film. And honestly, one thing I didn't look up to see how did it perform in the box office.
I didn't look that up.
Yeah, that's something I was like, ah, dang, you know what? I should probably look at. Its
Well,
budget was 24 million, and it was a success commercially. It was 91.5 million, but if you looked at the leverage on that, that's not as much as they were cranking out in the 90s, right?
no.
Because if I bet if we looked at like, let's look at Little Mermaid.
It was it's over time has developed a cult following, and I think over time it's gotten way more merchandise marketing. It's like I think
Yeah.
it's more popular now than it was when it was released.
So think about it. Like Little Mermaid, 40 million, so double the budget basically, and grossed 235 million. Now, groundbreaking. There's so much that goes into like unpack that stylistically versus this one. Like I totally understand all of those things.
Yeah.
However, the cult acclaim and appeal of that one film, right? And it's now become, as you've said during the holidays, the most popular ride at Disneyland
It is
outside of
for sure.
Matterhorn and Space Mountain.
Yeah. It is super popular. It is where everybody wants to be and everybody goes, both from like August, like when they begin Halloween time, and now they extended it all the way through like mid-January, end of January, like forever. And I'm like,
Just
because
come here whenever.
they know how popular it is. They're like, let's just keep it around a little bit longer because people want to see it. So yeah, it did well enough that I think they yeah. So anyway, how the overlay started. Shall we transition there?
Yeah, let's start with yes.
Sure. So in 1997, there was a Small World holiday overlay. That's when they started doing that. So if you've seen that one, it's bright Christmas lights everywhere, and all the dolls, everything gets dressed up in lights and new songs, and it's a whole adventure. It's got smells, and it's lovely.
Well, hang on. What was the year of that?
1997.
Okay, before that though, I have like overlays at Disneyland. There was one, it wasn't a ride, but it was a show. The Country Bear Christmas special
Yeah.
started back in 1984, and then Tokyo started doing it as the Jingle Bell Jamboree in 1988.
Yeah. They
Now,
were just
obviously,
really starting to experiment with all those overlays, I think.
yeah, but it's cool that it started so early, like into the 80s and then into the 90s of having overlays on attractions. They're they can be the minorest little change. Love it, especially in Disneyland because that's a locals park. They want to see all those things, you know?
Yeah, that quote from the creative entertainment director, Steven Davidson. He says, "We found that guests like the idea of seeing an attraction enhanced. They relive their old memories of the ride while making new ones for the holiday version. Plus, guests treat the classic rides with ownership. They want to come and see what you've done to their ride." Which I
Oh,
think is
that's
great.
interesting. Yeah, I never
Yeah.
thought of that, but that is, I mean, if it doesn't go well, you really hear about it.
Oh, yes. Yeah. So I think that is why, at least the ones that are in Disneyland for Haunted Mansion Holiday and then the Jingle Cruise too, I think that they put a lot of time and effort into those because they know if they just do kind of a half overlay where just don't really go all out, people are going to be like, this isn't any better. Like, just give us our original. Like, don't bother,
Yeah. Yeah, if it's a not all overlay, people are out.
Not all overlay.
No, I'm going to be honest with you. There can be like small changes to some attractions and it'll work and be successful. I think like It's a Small World is a production. Like that is an
Yeah.
incredible overlay.
Yeah.
Uh, but something small like our Speedway is a small undertaking. They put up a couple of wooden frames with some lights. It's not that much dramatically different. It's really easy to do Mad Tea Party as well as Alien Swirling Saucer. It's just lights and music. And same even with Space Mountain. It's just lights and music. But makes a big difference on how you perceive the attraction and enjoying it in a different way. But then you have Jingle Cruise, and then I would say for us, probably the most challenging one is in Jingle Cruise. I actually think putting up the lights in Living with the Land has to be
Oh
more
yeah.
labor intensive because
Yeah,
there's
for
so
sure.
many plants that they wrap with miles and miles and miles of lights.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's true. I'd completely forgotten about that one. I've never seen that one. Never seen Jingle Cruise either. Maybe next year. 2023 is my year. Gotta get out there. Yeah, but so that's the ideas and people they're just like, oh, we're onto something here where people want to come then and see it for the holidays because you would think of like I know a lot of people want to go to at Disney anyway for the holidays, but there's a lot of people like myself that I'm like, I don't really particularly want to go when it's like super crowded. But if they had something that was really unique that was only there during that time, might make me want to go a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
So they proposed first they proposed a retelling of Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol for the Haunted Mansion, which kind of makes sense in some ways, you know, like the Victorian
Well, I
era.
mean, you're dealing with ghosts, three different ghosts. We already have Erasmus Pickwick in the ballroom
Yep.
hanging, and he was a Charles Dickens type character from England. So, yeah, I mean, I think it could fit there. And in fact, I kind of feel like the Shrouded Ghost, although doesn't have a sickle or anything ominous, is very much like the ghost of
Christmas
what is it? The Christmas future?
future,
What is it?
future.
Future? Is it future?
Has to be future because he goes
Sure.
past, then he goes
Past,
present, then he
present,
goes
future.
future.
Yeah, I would imagine. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, I think it could have fit in, but the parks themselves declined. They just like, nah, let's not bother with that. And then they suggested doing Twas the Night Before Christmas, but they didn't want to put Santa in this like super macabre environment. Like it's like macabre, like ooh, like
It doesn't make
ghosts with
sense.
Santa. Like, no, that doesn't make any sense.
Hmm.
So then Imagineering suggested Nightmare Before Christmas. And they had already used, if you remember, we in our long series about the Haunted Mansion, we talked about the pet graveyard and we talked about how the little gravestone from Frankenweenie
Hmm.
from Tim Burton was actually inspired for the pet cemetery. You can see that one with it looks like kind of like crossed bones back there. And then I have the oh gosh, where did it go? And then I have the one that's from the graveyard here. It's like Fifi. So there is already like a little bit of Tim Burton just kind of like in the Haunted Mansion. So they're like, okay, let's do this. It made sense. It fit, you know, and it made so it premiered October 2001, and then they have a similar version but different in Tokyo that's called Haunted Mansion Holiday Nightmare, which is we could talk about a little bit as we go.
Yeah. And I couldn't find, I can't substantiate this, but this is a rumor that has been said amongst cast members, uh, is that supposedly Walt Disney World was supposed to get the overlay, but it ended up going to Tokyo instead.
It makes
And
sense.
that's the reason, this is what I've heard from on tours, why there are hidden Jack Skellingtons multiple times. It's mainly in books, but and I've never seen the one on the portrait, and I feel like it's changed over time. But Master Gracie is supposed to have one on his face. I don't know if I
Oh,
believe that, but
oh
there
well,
there are hidden Jack Skeletons. Right now, I'm dealing
yeah.
with Chrome, but there's books like I had them already pulled up, but my Chrome is acting really wonky. So there's one in the library, all the way to the bottom left hand corner. There's a little table, and then there is a book lining on top that says "The Nightmare Before Christmas," just written out in like that same exact font from the film. There's also in the attic too more books, and on the spine has a Jack Skellington. These are all really challenging to see.
You can
The
barely
only
see
way
them.
I saw them is by doing something nefarious, which was like going super super late and putting my oh hang on my computer has woken up and I put the flashlight on my phone one time.
Look at you.
Not all the time, but like I've done it. But yeah, you can see like this one's in the attic scene where you can see him. And then that's the one that's also on the attic on a bookcase. And then there's another one. This is the one that it's written on the actual book. That's in the library scene on the floor.
Somewhat
That's
less
actually the one
subtle.
that's the closest. Yeah.
Somewhat less subtle than the Disneyland version.
Yeah, you think just like replacing Silas Crump with a giant Jack? Yeah, I think a little bit different.
Oh gosh.
I think it's cool though. Like, I mean, how many people know that there's hidden Jack Skellingtons inside the Haunted Mansion? I don't know. I think that's cool.
I know. So you get a little tiny bit if you're in Florida, but not necessarily the same.
Yeah.
So, I feel like there's a lot to cover, but there always is.
Do you know
so.
we're almost an hour in already?
I know. I feel like this should be a one-off episode. I feel like we should just move. What do you think? What
What are you saying to me?
I
Do you want this to go longer or want this to be less?
I think that we should go for it and just do it because I think
All
it's
right.
our last one of the year.
Let's
And
do
just
it.
Make it happen.
Let's go. We're not stopping. We're just going. Buckle up, kids.
Because then we can start fresh in the new year with a new topic and a new whatever we're going to do. We don't even know
I'm
yet,
with you.
so it'll be great.
I'm with you.
All right, so we already talked about how it started. So should we start outside of the mansion? Just kind of.
Yeah. Pictures outside the mansion.
Okay. So when you approach it, Haunted Mansion Holiday, you basically just see. Luckily, a lot of this will go fast because it's just us saying like, "This is what's here." Because
Yeah, and you're looking at like pictures mainly.
yeah,
I swear I have bad at like my computer to get it back up. I went on one website that had like 40 pop-ups, and it was, you know what, I'm gonna say it. It was inside the magic. You can't even use your website.
oh, I know. Yeah.
It was so many pop-ups. It was unfunctional. So just a heads up.
So as you approach, you can see Jack sitting on a pumpkin, looking at a snowflake, and it says Haunted Mansion Holiday.
I love that over the queue.
Yeah, Haunted Mansion Holiday, and he's just hanging out. And you start to hear, the thing you hear is when you approach up is the ghostly music box is what you hear, and that's what plays in Disneyland Paris.
Now remember,
queue area.
our music box. If you remember, we kind of talked about it a little bit. We never covered Paris, but that music box. There has been rumors that the music box is the reason why the spirits have come to life, and in Mystic Manor, that is the same box that the little monkey dude opens up. But oh wow, okay, hang on, I got it.
This is gonna be you.
It's like when,
loaded.
this reminds me of like the internet when I would go on like GeoCities and it would take like 4 hours
like
to
AOL
open a picture.
on.
Yeah. The one thing that's like a subtle thing, apart from Jack, is I just love that the Haunted Mansion plaques are still here, but then the wreaths, which by the way, the wreath is so cool in the door knocker scene. When I was watching the POV today, I was like,
Yeah.
I
It like
wish we
holds
had
on
this.
to the chandelier, which is
It's
the
like
coolest
it's a
part.
living entity. The plant
Yeah.
is fully moving.
Yeah,
It's
and
so
it's like
cool.
all around the doors. We'll get there, but it's like that's probably one of my favorite parts, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
I'm honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, so on the front you can see that there are a lot of candles and pumpkins, and they all light up at night. They do like a little lighting ceremony for it at night, which is really fun. And they also have the little pumpkins that are on the coach, so they're in the hearse, chilling. So there's not much change. They just like added a lot of ribbons and pumpkins and candles to things, and skeleton heads. That's like virtually everywhere, but it makes it this like magical scene. And something that's really interesting that changed to the outside of the mansion is we used to have this telescope that was mounted to the banister, and when we got Haunted Mansion Holiday, it went away. That and the barometer that's behind it, they put one that is movable in there, and that is because of all of the decorations they put on the railings. They couldn't have it there anymore, so they now have one. They still have one, but it's one they can pick up and put away. And you're showing the clock, which was lifted right out of the film. And from what I hear, the people who created that clock were just tickled that they pretty much just like copied it and put it on the front of the mansion. So that
By
is
the way,
right out of
you're a big clock fan, so I'm sure you love the bat,
I
like
love the
hands on it.
bats.
It's so cute.
All of that clock I love. I think it's fantastic. And I love that it came right out of the film. It's like, oh, you can't really see it well in this picture, but on that big kind of town hall building back there, that's where that clock would be.
Mm-hmm.
And then, oh, the scarecrow too. The scarecrow's there, which that comes from this original concept sketch from Tim Burton. And then they changed it to the scarecrow. I have him. I kind of have not a great picture of him, but that's what he looks like there.
It's better
Chilling
than what
in
I
his
have,
pumpkin
which is
patch.
nothing. So I tried to change tabs, and now I'm back in prison.
No. Well, I've got lots, so we'll just keep moving. So then they have the Christmas equation that Jack uses to like figure out what to do with Christmas. It's on a big giant list on
I
the
love
side of the
that.
building.
And which is rolling out of his awesome coffin sleigh, which
Oh
is
yeah, I think I
it's
have
a
a picture of that.
green coffin, and instead of having like a sack for toys, it's literally a trash can.
Yeah, you can kind of see it here.
There it is. There it is. And yes, Jackie, that is correct. That is the I'm Jack the Pumpkin King when he lights himself on fire. That is the very similar one as well. Yeah. But like that, his sleigh, like his coffin sleigh crashes into the roof.
This is a good place where you can see that the telescope wouldn't have worked because you see the candles are mounted right there on top of the banister. That's why they had to remove it. So what else is on the outside? I think there's not much else. Oh, there are some little lanterns that are in the graveyard.
And
Look
I
like
had a
this.
number on here just randomly I found on a parks blog. There's over 400 flickering candles in jack-o'-lanterns that they added. And there's also 100, actually 124 jack-o'-lanterns that they put, which is insane. It's a lot of
That
pumpkins.
is a lot. I do have also the pet cemetery. They kind of like put bows on all of the pets.
Mm-hmm.
So you can see they just kind of gussy them up a little bit.
This is a non sequitur, but I passed a mailbox today that had a squirrel on the top of it, like not a real squirrel, but like a fake, like wooden squirrel. And to their overlay, they put a beard and a Santa's hat on it. I'm like, dude, Florida's wild. I'm hoping I go back and I see that mailbox have like an Uncle Sam hat for 4th of July.
Was it like Earl?
Dude,
Earl
it
the
was
squirrel?
dude, time out. Earl, that's the name of the squirrel. I feel like Universal's stealing Earl the squirrel.
Well, so this is from Frankenweenie. On the black and white one is Frankenweenie, and then that other one is in the Haunted Mansion squirrel. So
Wow, wow,
another
wow.
one that got lifted from the film.
And
For
that's
the
not
Pet
one of the
Cemetery.
squirrels that they they were. Dude, were you there when the cast member told us what they did with squirrels that are they're like a little
No,
too aggressive?
I don't think so.
Oh, they relocate them all right. You don't want to know.
Oh no.
They go to the squirrel farm.
Oh my.
Oh, it's because they get domesticated. They're like basically eating food, you know?
Oh, that's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So that is basically the outside of it. So the music's different, and it looks at night. Oh, do I have a picture of it at night? Because nighttime, honestly, I don't even bother going in the day most of the time because nighttime is when it looks the best. It's just gorgeous. It's like flickering candles and
I love
everything lit
that.
up, and it's just amazing. So then we're gonna go into the foyer. And that's when we hear the ghost host's voices changed from the regular one, which is Paul Frees, and then it's voice actor Corey Burton. I actually looked up what Corey Burton does, and he's like everywhere in Disney,
Really?
like everywhere. He also does he's the feature presentation voice on direct-to-video releases. So he's also Doc Hudson in various Cars Media and Radiator Springs
Oh, that's
Racers,
cool.
and general knowledge from the former Cranium Command attraction at Epcot.
No way.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
You know, it's I was listening to him. His voice is is uncanny. It's really it settles in nicely because like you think about that one
Yeah.
period and how iconic the narration is, and it sounds really good.
Yeah, he was basically hired to imitate Paul Frees, and I think he does pretty well. You can still tell it's a different voice, but it's fairly
It's really
similar.
close.
Where you're not, it's not jarring. Where like this is not the right voice. This it's like it's very similar.
It's the Nightmare Before Christmas version of the Haunted Mansion. Come on inside. What?
He says, "'Twas a long time ago, longer now than it seems, in a place that perhaps you have seen in your dreams, for the story that you are about to be told began in the holiday worlds of old. I know you're curious to see what's inside. It's what happens when two holidays collide." And that's kind of the
It
familiar
reminds me so
voice.
much of the narration in the film,
Yeah,
you know? Because they do it in rhyme as well, and I like that it's a rhyme scheme. And that rhyme scheme carries over throughout the entire attraction,
it
from
does.
even like the loading platform instructions.
Yes, although the in the stretching room itself, which is where we're headed next, unless do you have anything else for the foyer? Did you want to add
No,
anything
I'm trying
before
to
we move
pull
on?
up the pictures of the stretching room. I have some of them, but not all of them are
I
loading.
do
I'm
have.
in.
This is what if you had it in Disney World. This is what this one looked like. They actually the little white circle is Jack. So the aging man they turn to like a portrait of Jack instead, and then they add lights to the foyer. But they just have like garland in Disneyland's version. I don't even have a picture of it because it wasn't that interesting. It wasn't that different. It was just slightly more decorated. And then we're going into the stretching room, and the stretching room narration, some of it actually is like when it begins to stretch was actually taken from his original poem that he wrote rather than the film. So, do we want to talk about the different portraits in there?
Yeah, yes,
Okay.
I would. So there's several. They all change, right? So you have one, a Jack
Well, they
Skellington one.
stretch.
Most of them are toys. Like there's this one.
They have four.
Yep.
They have
There's also where's the zero one?
So they have one that's "'Twas the Nightmare Before Christmas" was what it says, and then they have Sandy Claus in the sleigh with zero. Then they have "Not a Creature Was Peaceful," which is a Christmas tree with presents that then turns into a hidden
What's the zero
Mickey,
one?
or turns into attacking Halloween presents. Which one you got? I'm like
That
trying to
was
track
yeah.
you. You're
That
going to
no
like
no no. You're good. No no no.
okay,
I'm jumping along with your.
okay. Then they have the stockings all hung by the chimney with care, which is a fireplace that then turns into Sandy Claus with ghosts. And then they have the children nestled all snug in their beds, which shows children sleeping, and then that turns into the giant sandworm striped snake that we see later in the attic. And in the one that is the Christmas tree with presents on it, there's a hidden Mickey on the holly berries, which I do have a photo of somewhere. I promise. Here, it's even circled. You can see it here.
Oh, hang on. Here we go. Now these things are all loading. Oh, by the way, our zoom is back. You can pinch zoom.
Oh, yay!
Yeah, that hasn't been a feature in a hot minute.
So you can see there's the children all snuggled in their beds. And then,
I love that they all change.
sorry, my iPad's like got super dusty. Okay. We have yeah, so what, they didn't actually take off the old portraits because they're too hard to remove. So they just laid these over them. It's literally an overlay. So the old stretching room portraits are still behind these when they're stretching, which I think is fascinating.
I also like how they put like little skeleton heads and bats all over the place as well.
Oh yeah, it's everywhere.
And the other thing too that changes is the center. So normally we're all used to the center being just that scrim, and then when the light flashes, it goes away. Well, there's no use of the scrim except for as a projector screen space, and you have Sandy Claus basically saying "Happy Holidays" through the center of that.
Yeah.
And then there's a giant scream, and you can see not this picture, but it's like just his grin, that like big toothy grin in his eyes, and then
Yeah, that looks like
and then you
Tokyo.
leave.
I think that's the Tokyo version because that one's Tokyo's a little bit different than the Disneyland one.
This
And
is
you can
probably.
still kind of see the hanging man in the attic. That's still something you kind of see behind him. But
Oh, here you go. This is it set before it stretches. So
mm-hmm.
you can see how they're all circular and demonic, and then you have the stained glass wreath at the top.
And this is the Tokyo version. They actually have these little like ghost skull
Oh, they're
illuminations that they
cool.
use too, which is interesting.
Yeah, that's a cool addition.
Um,
I almost wish
so
that they used projections at that top part in the regular story
yeah,
because it feels like an underutilized area. I mean, it's all it is you just see the scrim piece, which is fine. But
I guess it's supposed to be that you just think you're in a regular room and then the illusion's like, that it's stretching. We've talked
yeah,
about
I mean,
stretching room a lot, but it's like maybe it's just like you're not supposed to see anything kind of
fair.
weird about it until you're like, wait a minute, what's happening to me? And I think the lights might make it feel like, oh, there's something happening here. I don't know.
No, you're probably right.
So then, like I said, the narration, I won't read all of this because it's long, but the part that is from the actual like poem that he wrote versus the from the movie, it says, the ghost host says, "'Twas the nightmare before Christmas, and all through the house not a creature was peaceful, not even a mouse. The stockings all hung with the chimney with care. When opened that morning would cause such a scare. The children nestled all snug in their beds would have nightmares of monsters and skeleton heads." And then there's a lot of like, these are the glass breaking sounds a lot when they're showing his face. And then he says, "Happy holidays, everyone." And then the ghost host after that, he still says, "Look alive. This is one holiday you'll want to survive," which I think is fun.
That's
So
true.
and they tell you to move along to the portrait
Move it,
corridor.
beat it, get
Get
out of
out of
here. We
there.
gotta keep moving. Now, you guys have, of course, you're changing portraits in that hallway while you're walking underneath the train tracks. Where in
Yeah.
Disney World, you're in the doom buggy as you experience that. So here are the images and then what they change to.
Well, this is
So,
from the Ken Anderson concept art, is what they used
mhm.
for that, which I think is really fun. So this is what I'm holding is the concept art. What Kirk has is the current one that changes. And when it changes, they don't use the like lightning flashes like they usually do. What they do is they instead it just kind of gets like watery and then it like dissolves like from the circle in the center. It just like flips from one to the other. But Zero flies throughout all of them. So he kind of like flies from screen to screen and like interacts with the screen, like what's on the screen, which is really neat. He'll like fly around the columns of the buildings, which I think is really cute.
Yeah, it's not as static as the other ones.
But they're, and then, let's see, I lost all my pictures for them, so I'm glad you have them. They just disappeared. So the portrait of the snowman changing into a jack-o'-lantern is lifted directly from an illustration in Tim Burton's original Nightmare Before Christmas poem storybook. So that's where that comes from. And then, yeah, and then you have Sally that has a tree that then goes to like the Halloween tree and then back to regular tree. And the Santa sleigh with Jack Coffin sleigh, Jack to Sandy Claus. I think they're really cute. They're really like they're very well done for the movie. They encapsulate the movie really well. But and then they have a whole narration that goes with that. That's Jack Skellington came here from Halloween Town. You'll notice his handiwork scattered around. This year he's decided to play Sandy Claus, but when Halloween creates Christmas, you might see a few flaws. And it keeps going for that. So those are the changing portraits. And then we do see where did I lost it? The bus. I don't know if you have
Oh,
a picture of that.
they have little Christmas lights in front of them. One says ho ho ho, another one says
Here, I got
Noel.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. So the
So
one on the left says ho ho ho, and the one to the right says Noel in front of it.
yeah, Aunt Lucretia says Noel, and then the other one says ho ho ho, and it's all like spider webs that then have like lights put in them. So like the spider, like Charlotte's Web, like
Yeah.
there's a little spider that did that. So they end the holiday. Someone's asking when they end the holiday version. I feel like they just extended it. It was January 8th, and they might have extended it, or maybe that was the extension. I can't remember.
How long does it take for them to do the changeover and the switchback?
I think about 2 weeks usually.
That's not that long.
It's not that long, but they've,
I don't know how they
got
do
it
it in
down
two
pat.
weeks.
A lot of
Yeah,
it's just like literally overlaid on top of things.
well,
So,
I know like we're gonna get there, but one of my favorites, and I won't spoil it, is what they do with the singing busts.
oh yeah,
That is a straight up overlay.
I like the soldier, the
Oh, okay,
not
yeah,
soldier,
yeah,
the armor,
yeah,
suit of armor. That one's funny too.
yeah, similar.
Okay, so after this, if you're familiar with Disneyland, then you go into the load area, which has this amazing mural on it that has like all these interactive details that's like it's like coming to life basically. It's not just a static, we just put something there. It's a, I'm trying to find it here. Probably this is so dark you might not be able to see much of it. It has words Merry Christmas, but then it changes to Scary Christmas because the letters flip
Yes.
around.
Yep, the very front will change around.
And then they have the mayor's head will flip from his like happy face to his like angry face. The mad scientist dude's like head opens up so his brain says
His brain
Noel
starts
inside.
showing. Jack, Jack, I'm just an elected official.
Oogie Boogie appears in the moon. Santa peeks out of a box. The clown with the tearaway face like takes his face off. And there's a monster emerging from the wall holding up a sign for free sleigh rides, which is the one hiding under your stairs from the musical sequence in This Is Halloween from the film.
So one of my favorite parts of this, and this is just a 2D section, is you have Boogie's Boys, but look at who's in the center.
Oh my gosh,
The
there's so
hitchhiking
many
ghosts.
details.
That's
I
like a
didn't
fun
notice
little.
that.
Ooh, yeah, that's a cool one.
I tell you, because you go by it so fast. You're walking by, you're seeing all the things, and you're like, it's like this giant mural, but you're trying to focus on loading. So you like hardly anybody sees all of that. You see it for a few, like a minute maybe while you're walking by.
Yeah, it
So
happens way too quick.
it does, but it's got some great details to it. And then I love that they changed the script too for even the load area. They
Oh,
say,
the load area. What's the part with the feet?
okay, so it says, don't pull down the bar. It will float down with ease. And keep a close watch on all children, please. All good ghouls and boys must sit safe in their seats and keep in their sleigh all hands, arms, legs, or feet.
I love that it says feet. It's like such a silly thing to say, feet.
So after that, if you're in Disneyland or Tokyo, it's a little bit different because you think about how Disney World's version is different than Disneyland. So if you're familiar with Disney World, think of it like Tokyo. It's the same kind of setup. Tokyo's version is pretty much what Disney World used to be before they changed some of the features of it. But so it's like old school Disney World
Well,
Haunted Mansion.
the other part too, right? So like remember, our narration has changed. Also, music has changed.
Yeah.
I love that you can actually listen to all this music if you want to. There's actually an album for it, and they call them Christmas scarols, which I think is fun. And
Christmas
and they
carols,
go,
that's cute.
yeah, they change. And I'm gonna have to ask your question when we get to the graveyard scene if it has changed before then. But yeah, I mean you're dealing with kidnapped Sandy Claus is going on right now through the loading zone as well as that corridor of doors which we're about to get to.
Yeah. So there, what you see in this kind of like stairwell area, you see the vampire Teddy fishing. I'm trying to remember what he has in the end. I feel like it's a present, but I couldn't see it in the dark, and I can't remember what it is. It looks like it has a tag on it. I think it's a present. But the vampire Teddy is big there, and then in Tokyo version, it's Jack and Sally, kind of having an exchange.
He has a spider, and the spider has a gift on it.
Spider, thank you.
So
Okay.
he's got the little fishing pole. The spider is there, but the spider
That's why I
has a
blocked
gift.
it out.
Yeah, the spider has a
Like,
gift.
I don't want to know what it is.
Well, we get to see Vampire Teddy a couple of times.
We do.
Shows up.
He's kind of like the Raven he's like almost like the mascot of the Haunted
Yeah,
Mansion.
and
is the
coincidentally
vampire Teddy.
shows up in similar scenes throughout the Haunted Mansion.
Yeah.
Ones where you would see the Raven normally.
Yep. So then in Tokyo we see more of this version, Jack and Sally up on the banister, the railing, the second story.
Hello there, the angel
And
from my nightmare.
It's a vampire teddy there too. And since we're in Tokyo, Tokyo has a couple different scenes. We've got, we do have, that's frightening.
Well, it's the vampire Teddy. What do you expect?
He's terrifying.
Which remember, vampire Teddy we do see as well in the stretching room portrait.
Yeah, he's been. I think
He's
he's
kind
in
of like
every
the
room. He might
he's
be in every
the
room.
I'm gonna say it. He's the high key mascot of this.
Yeah.
He's got his own merch.
Oh, he's got a ton of merch, which is funny because I didn't really know what he was for a long time, and I had eventually had to look it up, and I was like, is he a cat? Is he a
If you got $24, you can get yourself a little plush.
A little vampire teddy.
There you go. Cute.
And for those of you listening who don't know what we're talking about the little guy with a white face, the giant red lips, and a round head, and he's black and white. It's a
very sharp, jagged teeth.
Teeth, yes.
But really fun little cutie ears.
He does have cute little ears, little bear ears.
Mm-hmm.
So in the Tokyo version, we head through a couple extra rooms that Disneyland version doesn't have. And so we've got Zero decorating a floating book tree with tinsel, which is really fun in the library. And then we have Sally listening to our friend, Vampire Teddy, play some piano tunes.
Can I also show that this is like a slight non sequitur, but I just thought about it and finally found a picture of it because I was thinking about merch. I actually own this for the overlay, but they had Wishables are gone. Now it's only Munchlings, which to my dismay.
Sad day.
But they have Oogie Boogie, and then they have a Sandworm, Sandy Claus, Zero, Vampire Teddy.
Vampire Teddy
Was a part of that. That was last year, or maybe 2 years ago, that they did those Wishables, which they're really, really fun.
And we had the portrait hallway in Disneyland, and then in Tokyo Disney, we've got this is what the portrait corridor used to look like at Disney World on both sides.
Yeah, our Sinister 11.
Yeah. And so they have little portraits of the you can see it better here. Portraits of citizens of Halloween Town is what's in the portrait
dude, I
corner.
just realized what is wrong with us? We literally talk about things as if this is commonplace. Sinister 11. Most people are what are you babbling about? I realize right now this is very conversational, and that's how this is. And if you missed the 40 hours of Haunted Mansion, I apologize. However,
we don't have time to explain the Sinister 11 right now. That would take all night.
Go back to episode 32.
It was probably I don't know. Which one did we do
17.
the Sinister 11?
It's probably
was it the portrait corridor?
Then that probably, I'm guessing that was probably episode 7 or 8.
Yeah,
somewhere
it was
in there.
earlier on. Yeah, because we just jumped right into the Haunted Mansion.
To our favorite attraction, just to see if we even want to do this anymore. Do we want to quit?
No, if anything, I'm now I want to do them all. The other thing that Tokyo has before we move back to Disneyland is they have the grand staircase, which now, is in Disney World is the place where you see the steps, the ghostly steps walking around the staircases that look like. But they used to have a staircase with 2 spiders. So they still see the spiders there on spider webs, and they also have a little projection of Oogie Boogie and then a whole bunch of little spiders in cages. So they've got that as well.
Bothers me that there's a campaign at Disney World to remove spiders off of attractions, because not only did it happen here in the Haunted Mansion, but it also happened in the Jungle Cruise. And I'm not a fan, and I don't like it. Bring the spiders back.
Well, I mean, the one that was in the Jungle Cruise was from the Haunted Mansion. They just keep getting displaced.
I don't like it.
It's very sad. Okay, so we're in the endless hallway.
We are. Now. I'm trying to find a picture of the knights right now.
Oh, I've got a great one. So
I've got a Zero picture.
You go around the corner. There's a bunch of presents in the corner, and one of them says "Seasons Screamings" on the tag, which is really fun. And then you're headed into, oh, I'm in Tokyo still. I gotta go to the other. I'm sorry, I have to find my photo.
Well, you have like a pile of bones, right? In
We
front
have a
that says
pile of
0.
bones. Yes. Oh, I was just in the wrong place.
And
Okay.
then there's a bone that's floating, and then
This
there's
is
0 in the background.
Season Screamings. Yes, let me show you the. Okay, so this you can see from the side. If you look from the side, do you see the suit of armor just literally has a pumpkin just kind of like stuck on
They
his
literally
face,
just jammed a pumpkin on his head.
which just makes me so happy.
You know what makes me unhappy? That we never got to experience this
I
with
know.
with live action. Could
They
you
should
imagine?
bring it's fun. It would be so freaky as if you were riding that, like creeping it at the end of the night and like
Oh,
somebody popped out at you.
told you, I wrote it by myself, and if it wasn't for the live stream with me, I would have been honestly really freaked out. It was really weird.
Yeah, it's bizarre to do that. So here's 0 2. You can see there's a floating bone and then there's 0 behind it. And then there's a pile of bones in the front for 0. So, really cute little guy. That's pretty much. Oh, and they removed what they say, the Donald Duck chair. They removed that chair for the overlay, so it just isn't there at all. Which I always thought was interesting that they moved it.
I whoever had to move that, I'm sorry.
Yes,
The spit chair.
the spit chair.
So gross.
Mascot back. You're still in the spit chair. Yeah.
Yeah, well, no, I just for people who wanted to see the Donald Duck spit chair real quick. Teddy, we want Teddy on a coffin. Is that where we're rolling?
Yeah. And if you
I also he's got like a little hammer in his hand.
Yeah, he's well, he's hammering the coffin back
Yeah.
closed.
Yeah,
He's like, get him back in there.
which apparently they sold that as like a little ceramic as well. So my favorite part of this scene is actually not Teddy, and normally Teddy, but I also like do not open till Christmas.
So he's like,
Yeah,
get back in there till Christmas.
Yeah, till Christmas. But you can subtly see it over here. I love these singing like piranha plants. Mm-hmm. They are so fun, and they sing in like unison as you're going through this section. And yeah, I mean, they had ceramic. This was from 2004, a Teddy Bobble
That's fun.
and then they also did a pin of this exact same thing. It's like crazy the amount of merch, like
Just so much.
small.
They sing Kidnap the Sandy Claus. Da, 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 da. That's what they sing. They sing it like in a happy tune. But they're actually inspired by similar singing plants from the 1986 musical film Little Shop of Horrors.
Shop of Horrors.
Namely
That was
from
Jackie beat you to it.
Yeah, namely from the Mean Green Mother from Outer Space musical number. So that's where
Yeah.
that's where they come from, or at least they're inspired by. And then the narration says, "Nothing here was forgotten. It all looks so pleasant. A coffin," Jack says, "makes a fine Christmas present. A man-eating plant makes a wonderful wreath, as long as you don't get caught in its teeth." So that's in our corridor of doors,
It's true.
which is what we were mentioning earlier, which is definitely one of my absolute favorite parts of Haunted Mansion Holiday.
I also like when you think about it, right? Those flowers are, because we see a wreath there for mourning the dead. So it's very apropos to have like a funeral flower, but this time to be like a man-eating monster one. That's not like far
Yeah.
off script. Oh my gosh, I can't even with this. It
He's so
literally
good.
moves. It moves.
Yeah. So he holds on to that chandelier like with almost like a plant arm, and he like moves it back and forth, and then all of his tendrils are like all over all of the doors in the corridor. It's very hard to see because it's very dark in a lot of this photography. And then they have more of those singing like plants all throughout the corridor of doors as well. But he's and you're kind of like tilted back a little bit too, so like he's like right here and he's intense.
It's massively oversized and beautifully done. Hang on.
It
Let
is.
me I have to show it because it's just like it's one of the most impressive things.
Yeah.
So I'm going to play just a 2-second POV of
Go for
this.
it.
Let me make it big so you can see 0. You can see the plants are now singing. There's Teddy hammering away. And then now you start seeing the vines are like overtaking even like the doorways, which I think it's cool because it's all like interchanged, and you can start seeing the shadow. And then hello, he's huge, just huge, and it's like his arms are these big old vines holding the chandelier, just
he's like moving them
and
around.
it's like he's about to like munch on it, you know?
Yeah, well, keep playing because we'll just show the next scene because we're headed there anyway.
Okay, yeah, sure. Yeah, okay.
Because I think that this is also one of, like, I actually prefer this Haunted Mansion overlay of the seance room, I think, to the original because it's so well done. So they have, of course, the clock says to Leota, 13 special gifts for you. That's what that tag says in case you can't read it.
Yes, and I have pictures of all of the 13 and what they stand for as well.
Oh,
so.
Good. I didn't get all of them. That's great.
Yep. So, very fitting that you have the Making Spirits Bright shirt, because here we are having floating ornaments, and every single one of these portraits in the back are tarot cards. And in the center is Madame Leota, and what is she in? An ornament. So looks like I'm not so original. and then the back is Teddy banging a bunch of jingle bells like a crazy person.
Just like jingle
and
bells,
then a demonic little nutcracker who's
oh my
doing
gosh.
that.
I love the nutcracker.
Like a tarot card pentagram over there going on. And then all of these tarot cards, which are really pretty hanging. I wonder if if they take down all the instruments, or if they're just not illuminated, so it's hard to tell that they're still hanging.
I looked at it. I feel like they took them down because this, where those ones are spinning up there is where the instruments are usually spinning. I think they just take them down and then pin up the cards, put them on the same things. If I had to guess, because they're in the same location.
So here are all of the tarot cards, and each one is for they call it like the 13 days of Christmas. And there's a star, and it says a star atop Leota's fortune card, 2 passion potions, 4 lifetimes, 3 lifetimes, 4 wheels of fortune, 5 lucky charms, 6 mystic mirrors, 7 pearls of wisdom, 8 balls of knowledge, 9 crystal balls, 10 telling tea leaves, 11 candles floating, 12 signs of the zodiac, and 13 rings of power. And then they actually sold these as a tarot card set as well. So I found this actually at an auction house.
That was a huge missed opportunity that you did not sing that like the 12 Days of Christmas.
I know, but they don't really they don't go that well. Do you know what I mean?
You could have made it work. All right,
ready?
Come on.
Okay, I got you. 13 rings of power, 12 signs of the zodiac, 11 candles floating, 10 telling tea leaves, 9 magic crystals, 8 balls of knowledge, 7 pearls of wisdom, 6 mystic mirrors, 5 lucky charms, 4 wheels of fortune, 3 lifelines, 2 passion potions, and a star for my fortune card tree. There you go.
Well done.
But
you didn't try that first.
Well, you know what? It was because I was going the opposite direction. I was going like from one up, and I wasn't singing like each individual one. But yeah, you have Jack Skellington, and then Sally is number 2 for the potions, and then this is the band. What's happening, Bone Daddy? The band. Then Oogie Boogie is Wheels of Fortune. Lucky Charms is the clown that removes his face and vanishes without a trace.
That's interesting.
6 mystic mirrors are the vampires, which they can't see their reflections, so that's funny. 7 pearls of wisdom is that mermaid with her pearls.
Nice.
And then 8 balls of knowledge, 9 magic crystals is a spider, 10 telling tea leaves is a witch, 11 candles floating, 12 signs of the zodiac is Dr. I forget his name.
I don't know. I just keep calling him Mad Scientist. I can't remember his name.
Sure. And then 13 rings of power. There you go.
And this is what it looks like in Tokyo in this room, which is actually a little not, it's a little less impressive. But they do have this big window with lock, shock, and barrel back there.
Yeah.
But she's not floating and there's no like lights and it's a little bit of a letdown. It's not as colorful. It's just
No,
kind of,
that's not fun. Because
fine.
even though it's, I mean, when you look at it, it's very vibrant. I mean, this entire overlay, we're not caught in that Germanic style here. I mean, it's
Yeah.
nothing but
Yeah.
bright, bright lights.
It's gorgeous.
Teddy
love
with his
this
jingle
part.
bells. Yeah.
Like,
It's
like the Teddy with the jingle bells, just icing on the cake. He's just like ding 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 ding.
I get it, and his mouth is moving in it too.
Dr. Finkelstein, thank you.
Finkelstein,
Thanks,
yeah.
Ginge. Yeah.
He's always like
I'm
scratching
like,
his
what is name? I know, opening up his head. And scratching his brain.
Wormswood. Did you give me wormswood, you silly girl? It's always sewing her arms back on.
Well, the
Such is
deadly
life.
nightshade we actually have in our backyard, and I always have to tell the girls not to eat it, like in the summertime when they're out back there, because they look like little green berries and they're super poisonous. They just grow like a weed out here. So I'm like, every time she makes deadly nightshade, I'm like, no.
Don't make it, please. No.
So that's Madame Leota. Let's move along into the ballroom. I know we're trucking fast, but we got a lot to go through. So the ballroom, there's a lot of changes in the ballroom. Something I want to touch on, though, is something that I have looked for forever, and I finally found it, which is the bullet hole in the glass in Disneyland.
Oh, you found it.
I finally found it, and actually it kind of shows up in this picture. So they put a big spider over it because it like kind of looks like the
looks
glass
like a
is
web.
splintered. So they put a spider. So if you look, it's not going to be very clear here. I have another better picture. But if you look where the star is, right in the bottom of the star, on the Christmas tree, there's a little
Oh yeah,
black
it's
dot.
like a little dot,
That's it. So if you're trying to look for it and you're at Disneyland, it's if you're looking and you're going along where the dancers are right in front of you, the ballroom waltzing
Yeah.
dancers, that right in front of you, that's just look straight forward and you'll probably see it right there. But the bullet hole was from 1974 when some guest with a firearm, a 22 caliber firearm, shot, I think, 2 shots in the Haunted Mansion. Maybe one in the Haunted Mansion. He did one in the Adventure Through Inner Space ride into like a snowflake, I think. And then he did one in the Grand Canyon diorama in the glass. And so from what I've heard, there's a lot of rumors about this, about like, why didn't they replace it? Some people say it was just it was too heavy, cost too much. Somebody said they'd have to take the whole roof off of the mansion because of the size of the glass, pane of glass. I'm like, I don't know how accurate that is. I think
because
it's,
they're in sections.
yeah.
It's not
I
like
think
one whole piece.
it's probably more likely that they just didn't think it was worth the expense of fixing because it's so slight and small. So they was like, let's stick a spider on there. We'll call it good.
Yeah, it's just a
But-
bullet hole.
The bullet holes there. So just wanted, that's my little squirrel aside for the ballroom because I'm like, I finally found it. I had a better picture of it too. And then we can talk about the rest of the ballroom. Here's a better picture of it up
Yeah,
close.
so there's a lot that happens in the ballroom that's really cool. One of the ones is we are now getting our sleigh. Our coffin sleigh is making its grand appearance in the party, and it's crashed through the front door and has replaced the hearse.
I love that.
So the hearse is no more. And then I also love that the jack-o'-lantern up here is very much a jack-o'-lantern versus
Jack-o'-lantern.
versus all the other pumpkins are kind of more traditional. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. And they have a lot of snow and pumpkins and presents just kind of pouring out. And then the gingerbread house itself,
This is
changes
crazy.
every year.
This
Changes
is
every
crazy
year.
that this changes every year. And apparently
Maybe a new one.
on one of these anniversaries, they utilized like a piece from every year. So they went all the way back when this debuted and put them in together. It's just so unbelievable. Like I look down here, it's Bones and Silas Crump as gingerbread people. It's so
This
cool.
this was from,
This was 2019.
mine I think is 2020 or 2021, but they have 2 X's for eyes. I think that symbolizes 20.
20, yeah, that would make sense. This one has a Hatbox Ghost at the top. I had
There's so many of
there was a
them.
Disney Parks article about. Let me see if I can get it real quick because now my
This one has a
internet's actually working.
sandworm. The sandworm is a big star in this year. And then this one's a big, like, Oogie Boogie spider year. And so the smell of the gingerbread apparently like permeates the room so much that then they have things that like fans or whatever smellitizers that blow it towards you so
I
that
love
you can
that.
smell the gingerbread, and you really do smell the gingerbread. It smells so good. But they do make it a new one every year, and we had the concept art in here somewhere for their first one. Let me see.
This
I've got
one
another one.
used for that 20th one that you had,
Oh yeah.
utilized elements of every single year prior to that. So to celebrate the 20th anniversary, there was pieces from every single year prior, which I think is really cool. Like they took the one or two elements and put
Yeah,
them in
that's
there.
neat. I love that.
Also,
Not the
that
actual
wreath.
gingerbread, just elements.
Yeah. The wreath is so cool. What? You don't like gingerbread?
No, I meant like they didn't use the old pieces of
Oh,
gingerbread.
no, no. You know,
Like,
it was
ooh.
funny for the longest time. Mel and I, when we first started dating, we made a gingerbread house together. And the
Oh,
welcome mat said it had our initials on it. And I actually had saved that. It was on like a piece of graham cracker. And I saved that. And every year we put that on our gingerbread house until like year 6. It just was like, please let me die. I was like, all right, dude, you got it.
I thought you were
The
going to tell
welcome
me
mat
until
couldn't
one year
make
one
it.
of your kids ate it, and you're like, no.
No, no. It was like starting to like every time I pried it up, it like was disintegrating more and more. Do you know what I mean? Like it had a
Yeah,
base of like icing underneath it, and it was just getting like bigger and more dilapidated on the sides.
it's just time to let it
had to
go.
let it go. Had to
Had to
let it
move
go.
on.
All good
This
gingerbread comes to an end.
this one's like a lock, shock, and barrel version as well. There's so many. It's amazing how creative they get, having done it for so many years.
And they were able to get that big red lobster man. They didn't put him in a boiling pot though, which was sad.
With his blood red coat.
If they would have boiled him up, I would have been in.
Next to the table with the gingerbread, we have this kind of macabre Halloween tree with the spider that I kind of showed you guys. But and then the dancers kind of, there's a whole bunch of presents below it, and the dancers kind of dance through the presents. Really, they just kind of, as they do.
They're ghosts. What do
They're
they care?
ghosts. They do what they want. They do what they like. And then the organist in the
I do
Disneyland.
like Zero. Hang on, real quick. I do
Okay,
like
yeah.
how Zero is at the top. He's like kind of the topper
Well, he
for
like
this tree.
floats around. I think he
Yeah,
floats around.
but there's no distinctive like that star is not at the top. So
Oh
like
yeah.
Zero is kind of our our topper,
That's,
which he's
yeah.
the topper in Disney Springs as well. Real original Disney Springs. Also, the Haunted Mansion tree did not change at all. There was no change of any of the trees except for there was 2 trees that changed. They had an Encanto tree, and the Disney Plus tree changed. Everything else was the same. Lame. Anyway,
In the Tokyo version, they actually have a window that has Jack and Sally, like a silhouette of them, which is
oh,
fun. And then
they're
you
so
can
in love.
see the organist has a little like Santa hat going on in the Tokyo version. In the Disneyland version, he doesn't have a hat that I saw, but he did have hats like next to him as decorations. So Santa hats and the organist, maybe different configurations of that.
Oh no, oh no, where'd she go? How do we run the show without her? Dude, what are you jamming? You're just out. You're
Oh,
like, you
I
know what?
didn't. You
You know
left.
what? Hats off. I'm out.
Like,
What? It said you disconnected, and I was like, oh, all right. Something I
that's
said,
weird.
something I didn't
No.
say. It
Well,
must be 10. It must be
we're
10
almost
o'clock.
there. We don't have that much left. So let's we'll take a break while Kirk dances.
Oh, by the way, I was at Busch Gardens yesterday, and unbelievable. The story of the 3 wise men, the crew members or the team members, what are they? I don't know what they call them over at Busch Gardens. Unbelievable vocal talent. One of the
That's
coolest
cool.
shows. It's about 10 minutes long, and I recorded it on my GoPro because they did "Oh Holy Night," and it was one of the best renditions I've ever heard of that song because that is a hard song to sing.
Wow, yeah, it
It
is.
was unreal.
That's awesome. I missed that part. I saw the part where you were having a really gross cheeseburger. That's what I tuned
Oh,
into.
that was awesome.
That was like the part I saw the whole day. It's a
Yeah.
lot of crowds and a lot of awful food.
Hmm.
So,
Dude, also, this is the first time I've ever gotten this from TikTok. Great job. You've gone live for 90 minutes. Don't
they're like,
forget to
take a
take a
break.
break.
Oh yeah,
Hey,
take a
guess
break.
what, dude? Do you know what I do on Mondays and Wednesdays? Take a break. Dude,
Take a
if they
break.
instituted breaks, I'd be like, well, looks like we're going to go on some other places too. I'd have to switch it up.
Oh gosh. So headed into, well, let me make sure. I'm going to double check my notes that I'm not missing anything here. There's a whole bunch of great, by the way, I will post the link to the script in the podcast notes and also into the Discord because there are some great things that Madame Leota says. And I just don't want to read you all the narration because we'd be here all night. But so then we're going to go to, the
The attic.
ballroom, the attic. Yeah. So the music shifts to what's this? What's this? So several of the toys of the attic are taken directly from the film or the illustrated storybook, including the duck with teeth and the little Oogie Boogie doll, the giant snake, which we already talked about, the sandworm dude.
Is that a tremor or is that a dune sandworm? What is that thing?
It could be a lot of things. So there used to be a hat box, a green hat box in this scene that I'm pretty sure they took out. Now it's like they might have just decorated with different paper, but they made it a lot less obvious once they actually put the Hatbox Ghost back in the attic because it wasn't necessary anymore. So they used to have this like little nod to the Hatbox Ghost even though he wasn't there. But now they just have the Hatbox Ghost, so they don't really need it.
2023, my year to shine.
The naughty and nice list that the sandworm holds has the name, like we talked about Vincent earlier. It has Vincent on it, which is
The
like
nod to the film.
Yep, the 1982 short film.
And it also has like a little, that's the only one that has like a naughty symbol.
Yeah, well, I mean, it also could be like Vincent Price, who was like one
Could
of
be.
his people, right? And but he did, before he passed, he was the original voice of Santa Claus in The Nightmare Before Christmas, and then he left the project due to family matters, so he was involved in it.
So you brought this up. Any idea who Donna is?
Donna, I feel like there was a Donna that I looked for earlier. I was gonna do more research about the names, and I ran out of time because I was
She's
busy
the
launching a new
only
book.
Yeah, but she's the only other one that has the skull and crossbones next to their name. Everyone else has pumpkins.
It's just somebody they didn't like on the project.
Donna.
They're like, put one next to Donna.
Put-
They're like, she won't notice, but we'll know.
For Donna.
The petty Imagineering. I'm not sure, but I'll look it up. And then what other notes I have in here? They do have different names on the Tokyo version of the list. They're more like Japanese names. And then in here, the narration is a bag full of toys Jack had slung on his back. They were strange and bizarre and on the attack. So then all the toys look like they're trying to attack you, which is pretty fun. I don't have any great pictures of here. This is like, you can kind of see the Oogie Boogie little miniature toy in this one. He's in a little box. Tiny little Oogie Boogie.
Probably filled with worms and bugs.
Yeah. Oh, and then I do love how they change. So they kind of don't, they don't have, they don't have Constance here at all. And they changed the portrait of her husband to Jack. You can kind of see it back there. So.
Speaking of which, I just wanted to share this because I had this earlier for when we were talking about the outside, but it wasn't loading.
Oh, yeah.
But occasionally they'll do a Sandy Claus, which this has to be the exact same one that they do for Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party. I would imagine it's identical.
Well, they do a meet and greet with them that's over in New Orleans Square. So
Yeah, I
It's just
love
they just
that.
have them
I
wander up there
definitely,
every once in a while.
I would much rather meet the Sandy Claus version of Jack than the regular Jack because with the beard and the hat, he's much less menacing and creepy.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting though, because when my daughter loved Nightmare Before Christmas when she was little, like when she was 6, she was obsessed with it. And so we went to go meet him at Disneyland. And when she met him, she was like, "Something's wrong with his neck, Mom. Like, why is his neck so thick? Like, he didn't look the same."
Yeah,
I'm like,
there's always those
"Yeah."
times where you're like, they don't look anything like.
I'm like, "I know."
But then there's
He had a
times
lot of
where
Christmas
they
cookies.
don't look a lot alike, but they look awesome, like Dumbo.
Yeah.
Dumbo
Yeah,
is one of those
Dumbo.
ones where it doesn't look like, but is adorable.
Yeah. Even those early Dumbos from like opening day get me. They're just the lumbering Dumbo.
I mean, the shredded mouth Mickey is a thing of nightmares.
Yeah, yeah.
It's really
There's some of those
bad.
opening day ones that. Mm-mm.
It's really bad.
So we see the Hatbox Ghost. You kind of showed a little bit of it already, but the Hatbox Ghost doesn't really have much else going on for it for Haunted Mansion. It's like some snow is on his hat
Snow
boxes,
behind
and
him.
there's a hat that's like a elf Santa kind of green red striped hat. And then we get kind of the view from up there. We get this first view of the Spiral Hill, which is kind of the iconic Halloween town landmark. We see it from up above, and there's a good view of these like trumpet angels from up here too.
I also like that they change out the animation, which is normally that like scrim rolling ghosts to snowflakes, is a
Mm-hmm.
cool. That's a cool
Oh
effect.
yeah, yeah. Those ones that are Fantasia ghosts, they change the snowflakes. I don't know if I've ever noticed that. Look at that, learning.
I got you on two today.
I know. Oh
Not like
man,
I'm
I'm
keeping track
slipping.
like a petty person or anything.
Gosh,
Yo, remember that time that I taught that famous author two things about the Haunted Mansion? Don't listen. I follow you on Amazon now. I follow the author, so
oh my gosh, the
yep, I'll
pressure's
know.
on.
I'll know when stuff comes out.
Whoa, look at how bright that is. You can see that attic so well. And then our friend, the
Which
vampire Teddy.
you have, isn't that normally the Raven?
See, I think
So
they swapped him out.
yeah, I think he takes over the Raven the entire time because here, on the coffin, although the coffin one, he's in the center where he's on top of the Raven is on top of the
Yeah,
wreath.
he's like because they had to put the like singing flowers
Yes, singing
where the raven
flowers.
is.
So
So they just like repositioned where he is. But yeah, he's like the raven of Haunted Mansion Holiday is the vampire Teddy.
now here's the big reveal.
Oh, I love this part.
Greatest audio animatronic. I mean, he looks fantastic.
With little zero next to him. Mm-hmm. There's a different color bag in that one. That's interesting.
Could be just like also, it could, yeah, I don't know.
Lighting.
It could be lighting. This is from 2019.
Mine is from 2022, so this is this year.
Sandy's got a brand new bag.
So there is in this scene, as we're entering the graveyard, there is 75,000 square feet of snow. So almost the size of 2 basketball courts.
There's
Literally
also more than 1,000 lights added.
did you make that up?
No. Look at the amount of lights. Like I feel like that's a good answer, but no, that's true too. That's
They
a real thing.
They added Sally, the audio animatronic of Sally, in 2016 for the 15th anniversary of the attraction, the overlay at Disneyland, but only in Disneyland. I did not see it in Tokyo. And her
Tokyo's is really lackluster, to be honest.
Yeah,
Like it
comparatively.
stinks.
Yeah.
Like Disneyland is so much better.
Yeah. Sally's basket and its contents are lifted directly from a scene in the film where Sally brings Jack the same basket. So they're identical.
Yeah, there was like potions in it from a picture I saw earlier. It's like lots of different bottles and things.
Yeah. And then the Fandom 5 is all decked out for Christmas. I think they've got different hats on. I don't know if you want to roll that back just a tiny bit.
Yeah, I don't know if she like.
I
don't know
feel
if
like
they're in
they
perspective.
had different hats. But I know that they definitely for sure got a lot more Christmas lights and decorations and all the things. Oh, look, cute. Zero has a little candy cane. I don't know if I ever noticed that before. And then, okay, so here's the Phantom 5.
Their hats
Super
look
hard
the
to tell.
same.
The hats look the same, but
They
they've
look
got all the
identical. Yeah.
snowflakes and icicles and ribbons and things.
There is ribbons on all the gravestones and the snowflakes behind them as well. And then there's the basket.
There's the
It's like a
basket.
dead
Yep.
fish, just fish bones.
Fish bones. All the important things. You
Let's
bring someone. Care package.
lovely fish bone picnic.
I love when she blinks. She's like, she's
Yeah.
so in love with Jack. She's just like, I love Sally. So then in this scene, we have a skeleton reindeer with a tea tray and teacups. And then we also have a skeleton reindeer back there with the bicyclist in the back. I think I've got a picture of that
So
somewhere.
on this one, it's kind of fun because the way that they have it framed, the doggy is like pulling lights off, and the reindeer is kind of like around the lights as well.
Oh yeah, and he's barking. He's barking at the reindeer like a lot. Like you can hear him bark, bark, bark. Because he's like, you're not supposed to be here. Like dogs do.
Mm-hmm.
And you can kind of see in this one, way in the back, sort of, there's one of the bicyclists is a little one of the reindeers, skeleton
Yeah.
reindeer.
You can't see it really good on this, but you can on the next frame after we get through the singing busts.
Oh yeah, do you want to do the singing bus?
Sure. So you have that curled mountain, of course, that he walks on and kind of, it unfurls for him.
I
But
love
then
that
the
part.
singing busts, like you could see the bottom of the bust, you could see like their necks,
Like stuck on
and they
it.
literally, this is my favorite overlay. Like, look, Theodore's is just like it's just chilling, but like you could see the bow
Literally
ties.
overlaid.
It's yeah,
Just stuck on.
yep. And then, but they are singing.
Yeah.
Now
I mean, they're
they're
cute.
singing. In this scene, it was.
Oh, it's like a blend of songs.
It's
They do
right.
Jingle Bells. They do Grim Grinning Ghosts. They do. I have it in here. What's this? We Wish You a Scary Christmas.
Yeah, We Wish You a Scary Christmas was interesting. I don't know if I still have. Where is there's I want to read the lyrics just for like one quick part of it. And if you go onto, I'm going to pull up YouTube for a hot second just because it's scary. Remember, this is called a, they're called scarrels.
Scarols. I love that.
Yeah, me too. Where's soundtrack?
We're all waiting with bated
wait.
breath.
I know. And I'm looking for the one, because there's one that has like the album cover on it as well. And I don't know if that was an actual released album or not, but it seems like a lot of effort for somebody to make this. But, what am I? Who am I? I'm just a dude. So. Oh, this one's like only part one. There's one. Gosh.
So while you're finding that, I've got what Jack Skellington says as you're like coming around the corner for
Do
his
it.
audio animatronic. He says, "It's Christmas. Have you been good this year? Ho ho ho. What's this? Can you believe your eyes? I like this Christmas thing. See, Zero, I told you they would like our Christmas fruitcake. Anyone? So cliche. Ho ho ho. I really outdid myself this time. Look at all the happy faces. Season's greetings, everyone. Ho 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 ho. Hee hee hee. It's Christmas time." Welcome to my Christmas delight. Have you been naughty or nice? I have a special present just for you. Happy holidays, everyone. So those are all the things that he says. Obviously, you only hear like one of those as you go by.
Yeah. So my brother-in-law got a fruitcake this year. He asked his mom to get one because he hasn't had one in like forever or whatever, and it's disgusting. Commercial fruitcakes, they're
Lives up to its
weird,
name.
long, rectangular, jellied, candied awfulness. I was like, "Do you really like this?" He goes, "Nah, not really, but like I wanted to try it again." I was like, "All right." So yeah, Haunted Mansion Holiday Carol number 6. We wish you a scary Christmas. We wish you a scary Christmas and a haunted New Year. Good hauntings we scream to you and your kin. Good hauntings at Christmas and a haunted New Year. So bring us some froggy pudding. Oh, bring us some froggy pudding. So bring us some froggy puddings and then disappear. Oh, we won't boo until we get some. It's cute. It's cute.
It's cute.
Yeah, I like it.
I love the way that they blend that song and all of the songs together in that scene, because then all of a sudden they'll say like, like Grim Grinny Ghosts come out to socialize, and then they'll like launch into another Christmas song.
Yeah, it's like a
it's
whole
great. It's
medley
great.
mix that kind of goes together.
They do a really great job with that. So then they have the angel, these like gigantic angel pumpkin things, which are fascinating. I think we had some concept art in this book from that. Did you get out your Haunted Mansion book? Because it's in there somewhere. I'm not, where is that? But they're really big. I got stuck next to one the last time I was there, and I was so happy about it. I was like, look at this thing. But there, and I was looking at all the things. So there's a little bit of concept art there, or not concept art, but rather the like sculptures for them. You can see.
I mean, they're huge. Like perspective-wise, we're going underneath them, and they're still towering over us by a good solid 6 feet.
Oh, they're gigantic. Yeah. They dominate that scene. Like you're like, oh, is there somebody behind them? I don't know. Like there's, of course, the mummy is behind them, but you just barely notice them because they really do dominate that entire scene. And then we see there's really not that much else in that scene. Like it's all just kind of normal. It's like with the extra bows.
I mean, this guy did. I do like.
He has a hat.
The pop-up ghosts have Santa hats on.
Which, by the way, in the Tokyo version, in the attic, they have pop-up skeleton heads there because they still have their pop-up grooms. So.
Now, we do have our pumpkin trumpeting again. And guess who has his little trumpet?
There he is. Where the raven would be.
Right? Exactly. That's what I mean. Like, he is our little narrator.
He's right up there looking over you as you head out of the graveyard and into Oogie Boogie Land, which is really fun. Oogie Boogie, from everything that I have read, he is a repurposed audio animatronic from Big Al from Country Bears. So when they took Country Bears away at Disneyland,
I mean, look at the shape.
It's like, it's the same shape, really. So people are just like, no, it isn't. I was like,
I can see it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is. And it makes sense for them. They repurpose things all the time. So that's what I've heard, at least. So he does this little wheel of treats here. He has a whole spiel about that. And then you see Lock, Shock, and Barrel will pop up every once in a while in these, like they're in these little windows. And the treats are kind of like random stockings and question marks. I've never really understood the point of them. But they're the traditional ones, I think, that are on the tracks, like we saw when we did the history of the hitchhiking ghosts. And they're on a track behind there, and they just, like, they run. So I'm pretty sure they just, like, either they stuck them in front of them, or they, like, replaced them on the track. And then after that, we go, and it's a little bit different in Tokyo, but here it's Sally sitting and waving to you on a little present.
She's our, little Leota.
Yeah. And she says, what does she say? She says, thank you, Sandy Claus, for bringing good cheer. Please hurry back. We can't wait till next year. And I heard him exclaim as he drove out of sight. And then Jack says, the world will not forget my Christmas night. Merry Christmas, one and all. Because you can see him kind of flying through in front of the moon in his little coffin sleigh. So
Trash coffin.
And that's that. I can show you the Tokyo one. This is the concept art for Sally for the Tokyo version. She's looking for Jack. And this is what she ended up looking like in that version. So she's a little bit different. Yeah, it's really quite an experience, and it's worth going to see. Even at the holiday times when it can be busy. There's some pockets there when it's not as busy. Especially now, like if they're extending it till January 29th, 30th. there's time to go see it in January. There's still time.
Yeah, and apparently I don't know how many years they've done it, but at least one of the years they did a scavenger hunt called Oogie Boogie's Holiday Tricks and Treats. And there was little cameos throughout not only the mansion, but then also around in the shrubbery and the gardens. Uh, so yeah, I thought that's kind of fun.
Help all those kids that are standing in that massive line. That line
Are
is,
we in yet?
it goes through that. Yeah, it's, oh, that line is so big. It like
Yeah.
goes throughout the whole courtyard of the um, New Orleans Square. It's just gigantic. So that's mainly what I have for a Haunted Mansion holiday, but I think that was enough.
Yeah, I
I think we
think
did.
we kind of like worked you through, gave you a couple of some fun facts, some hidden things, and if you've never experienced it, I was fortunate. I've been to Disneyland one time before when I was really really young. I was like one, so I don't remember anything. And then Mel and I went early on in our marriage pre-kids, and we just so happened to be there during this, and we got to ride it, and I was like, I can't stand Walt Disney World right now. And honestly, after that trip, for the longest time, I said Disneyland destroys Walt Disney World because it is the best of the best. They cannot waste space. Everything is an e-ticket, and it is so immersive, and the food crushes Walt Disney World. And you know what? I
Facts.
still feel like that's relatively apropos in some ways. The one thing that we always win is size and scale and choice because we just have more of it. But does that mean that it is better? Not necessarily. I do think you guys have the cream of the crop has to showcase in Disneyland because you do not waste time or space.
Yeah, it's efficient, which I appreciate. I appreciate that everything there is like they use every square inch of space in
Yeah,
Disneyland, but
in
they
our
don't do that in
case,
Disney World.
yeah, in our case, like I just think about like Animal Kingdom. They destroy a coaster, they put in a couple of picnic benches, and then they remove a random eatery, like just seemingly in the middle of the night for no purpose. And it's just like, okay, like just,
Yeah,
but it's okay. Like we're okay with a bunch of walls and vacant lots, and because there's space, and it's not
I
that
know.
important.
But it feels like, to me, it always feels like there's so much more, obviously there's so much more walking, but there's so much like dead space where there's not stuff to like do, or there's stuff to see because they make it look pretty, but it's not like necessarily things to see. I think of like Animal Kingdom. There's some places like when you walk by where they have Nemo and stuff, like it's just trees. It's like there's nothing going on over here.
Yeah, yeah. It's very underutilized in some spots, but like that leaves for room for expansion in areas and territories, which is great. And there's probably also some fundamental back end systems that we don't know as well. But still, I just feel the space is a blessing and a curse at times.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like, especially after going going into the backstage area and seeing like the
Hmm.
expanse of just like it's just nothing out there. It's like they got space
Yeah, they
and
do.
buildings, but other
Dawn, it
storage.
was like this little tiny, it was like a mobile trailer that just think of it like as like a food truck, but it was a standalone food truck that sat there all the time. And that was like one of the few places where they had Frito pie. So if you want to relive your days as the Frito kid, but it's gone, so you can't. So forget it. Casa de Frito
Sad.
is you got nothing in Disney World giving it an homage. I mean, actually, that's not true. If you go to Pecos, you can get a walking taco from Fritos. So
Yeah. Yeah.
kind of like Frito pie-ish, but not the same.
Some really bad churros.
Di- You're not wrong. You're not wrong. Well, hang on. I did. Did I tell you that? Did I tell you? I don't feel like I talked to you about churros. Have we talked churros lately?
Oh, we did a podcast about churros.
I know, but did
We
we
did a
did we
show
talk
about
about the
churros.
Mexico Pavilion churros?
No, I don't think so. Are they
So
good
I
now?
found out I shared a Skyliner with a cast member who makes magic in the Mexico Pavilion, and we were just talking about a bunch of random stuff because we were on both ends together. Like so, it was all the way to Hollywood Studios from Epcot, and yeah, we were just basically saying the churros are trash, and she said our churros are amazing at the cantina there because they fry their churros where everywhere else they are baked on one of those like rolling conveyor systems. So the reason why they're not like crispy or crunchy or like really delicious is because almost all of them are baked versus fried. Because they
You
are still
solved
the
it.
same. They are still the same like Tio Pepe's ones. So I now have to like get. I don't even know where in Epcot you can get like a long boring churro, but like I need to find a long boring churro and get the cantina, which they actually chop their churros up. They're like more like bite-sized ones with like a little chocolate dipping sauce, and like try that versus this. But from what I gather, different thing. They actually fry them, so it's really super interesting. Yeah,
Well, it's good. That's where I'm gonna go next time to get.
yeah.
Get
I'm
mine.
gonna have to figure it out. Although my favorite churro still, to what I can vouch for because I've experienced it, is at Nomad Lounge. Nomad
Yeah,
Lounge
that's what
and the
I've heard.
dippies are primo. So good.
good.
It's like strawberry and vanilla sauces. They're really good.
I have someone asking about my lovely shirt, and of course I want to talk about it. So this shirt was designed and is sold by none other than Kirk from Walrus Carp. So you
Oh,
can go
me?
to walruscarp.com, or I'm
Oh
sure
my
the link is
gosh.
in his bio. And this Making Spirits Bright Scott Madame Leota. How amazing is that? Like, I'm gonna wear it year round. Not gonna lie, I don't even care.
It's
It's a
a
Christmas
hey.
shirt. Like,
I
it's
mean, she
amazing.
does make spirits bright
It's
whenever.
like perfect for this.
Also, I have to admit, it's the Leota on the shirt. It's really hard to find good character or cartoon designs of Leota, like
It
even in
looks
Disney
great.
parks. And that one came out really, really good. So I'm
Yeah.
very proud of that one.
Yeah, this is probably one of my favorite designs that you've ever done, and I was
Yeah.
so excited when I saw it. I was like, I have to own that. So
Yeah, it was it's
well
so
done.
funny like it's the whole design process, much like writing. It's you throw a lot of things out there and some things you just need to experience and do for yourself. That was an experience and do for myself. No idea if people would be excited for it, but that was people loved it for Christmas. It was probably
It's
our most
beautiful.
popular Christmas design.
It's great.
Yeah.
Can't wait to see what you come up with for next Christmas. Maybe a giant
Ugh.
wreath with a like thing.
Vampire Teddy
You should have a
gingerbread.
wreath, like one of the wreath with teeth with like a churro. Would be really fun. Like with Teddy. Oh yeah, and the Teddy vampire. You
Teddy
just got to
Vampire.
figure out a way to do that. It's legit.
I feel like the totally could do gingerbread characters of like especially like Silas and Gravedigger, you know.
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh, that would be fun. Can't wait for next Christmas now. It'd be great.
There's a Madame Leota pillow at Burlington.
Oh, that sounds fun.
Oh, it's one of the weird looking ones. Sorry, Chrissy. Totally.
I'm starting to make my list of things that I've never done at Disney World that I want to do while I'm
Oh,
there
dude,
this
because we
trip.
got to do that. We got to like combine forces for your when you're down, and we
It's
got to do all
coming
the
up
things.
soon. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll be here. I want to say 14 days ish, something like that. I'll be there. It's like I can't remember. I think the 15th is when I arrive, January 15th. So
That's so crazy close.
it is, and I'm like, oh gosh, like I need to like think of what I'm gonna do while I'm
And
there.
you're like taking up residence.
Not this time. This time just a
Oh,
week.
this is a short one. Okay.
March, I'm gonna just live in Florida for a while.
And I'll be like, dude, welcome to the Sunshine State.
Yeah, I'm gonna be there for like 10 days or something at the end of March during spring break because my family's going to go visit my other family elsewhere, and I was just like, they're just like, why don't you just go to Florida during the time? I was like, sure, let's do it. So I'm gonna go and I'm gonna write in the parks, which is really exciting. I'm thinking about my next book might be placed in Disney World, so it'd be fun to write the book while I'm there. So
I know.
those Disney World streamers.
I've been there.
They,
I've been to Disney World. I know it.
I don't know. Those Disney World streamers have so much drama. It's great inspiration for my story.
Well, I'll be getting my copy of Glimpse of the Magic, and I will make sure to get you to sign a copy, and then I will sell it for a lot of money down the road.
I do have a way of signing. I know because we're ordering directly from Amazon, but I have on my website, I have something called a book plate. So it's basically a sticker, but you can buy one of those and I will sign it and mail it to you and you can stick it in your book because that's just the way that authors do some things these days
Oh,
when you
that's
can't
cool.
see them in person. So I will personalize and sign something for you to put in your book.
I'll bring in
Make it
that
like-
book to the parks. Are you
Okay.
Kate Grasso? I love your books.
Just leave it in your car. I'll meet you in the parking lot to
No,
sign it so you don't have to carry
nope,
it all day.
nope. I'm carrying it, and I'm gonna go, dude. I'm reading this book. She's right there. Is your like picture in the back like?
No, my picture's not on the back. It's in
Okay.
the book though. It's in like the author
Ooh,
part. Because I was like,
nice.
I used my picture from when I went in Walt's apartment and the
Yeah, that's
pocket
a great
fam
picture
made
of
it
yours.
happen. And I loved it. It's funny because when I had it taken, all the people that were in the room, like all the strangers, they're like, if you don't use that for your Christmas card, like, I don't know what you're doing with your life. And I was like, I don't send Christmas cards because I don't have enough money. So I was like, I'll put it somewhere. I'll put it
Dude,
in my book.
the I gotta admit the photo cards, like I know they're not as like high end because they're not like cardstock or whatever. They're so much more affordable.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
much more affordable.
I could have figured it out, but honestly, it was just like, I'm just not, I can't. This year, I can't. I was trying to release a book. I was like,
No,
priorities this year. Like, we're going
trust
to do
me.
this.
I there's like I was listening. Very very boring, and I won't talk about this at nauseum. But I was listening to the topic of capital allocation as being like one of the most important things that a CEO and a company can do. So it's like, where do you put your working capital? And it's really interesting where some of the most like famous, and then where some of the most actually like really high performing companies, they dramatically allocate differently. Like Disney is probably misallocates quite a bit of capital. So it's really,
Yeah,
really interesting.
that is interesting. I would
Yeah.
be interested to hear more about that. I think Jackie says that we did use my lovely photo for our Mom Street card.
Yeah,
You're
she did.
100% right, Jackie.
Yeah.
We did do that, and I appreciate that. Was all you, Jackie. You made that happen.
Yeah, Jackie did it,
I am just, I
Just make
I
Jackie
sent her
do
the
it.
photo. Jackie, she volunteered. I didn't force her to do it. She's
Jackie,
lovely and
send out the
amazing like that.
photos. Send out the photo where I look good and
No,
talk
like,
about my book.
oh my gosh,
She'll
no.
never say that.
No, no. But no, Jackie made that happen. She's amazingly on top of things like that. And I was like, here's all I got as my photo because I'm so busy doing all of this stuff. So God bless you, Jackie, for that.
There you
So we
go.
did get to use it somewhere, but not for
Yeah,
my family.
it
But
exists.
yeah, yeah. Can it, Kirk? Jackie.
See,
Yeah.
she feels like she's safe over there and can say whatever she wants, like because I don't hear it over here because I don't see the chat. She's jumping. I know what she does. Jumps in, says hi here,
Jumping.
jumps over there. She's jumping.
Oh gosh. Well, so at least, at the very least, we got to do a day when we do things we've never done at Disney World, and you and I have to connect about if we're going to do anything
Oh
else.
yeah,
So that'll be fun.
I have a fun thing planned for this Wednesday as well, because we're celebrating the new year, and I might as well talk about it. We're going back in time, so I'm first of
Ooh.
all I'm so excited. We've been streaming consistently for over a year now, and
It's time to go back in time now.
we're going back in time, and we're gonna go Verizon phone, and we're gonna do a lot of stuff that we did like way at the beginning of this journey.
Oh,
So it's
fun.
like a retro day. I gotta go do. It's like kind of a disjointed day, so I can't do a challenge day, which I normally do on Wednesdays. I got to go to the Run Disney thing and get like my bib and all. I don't know because I got to run a.
Are you running?
I have to run. Don't say it like that.
I mean, good for you.
It's so true though. I got bullied into it by Mark, who's not even running the thing.
What?
Yeah, so Lem has to run a marathon who hasn't prepared for it, and I have to run. Luckily, it's only a 10K. Like I tried to
it's not that bad.
prepare, and I did one run, and I ran a 5K, and it was a respectable time. I think it was like 35 minutes. So I was like, all right, I could, without doing much, I can at least do it at around an hour and be fine. But I hate running. I'm not a fan of it. So, but I
Neither
want to
am I.
experience this. So whatever.
I mean, the disgust was more for me than you, honestly. 'Cause I'm not
Yeah.
a runner. I'm like, no. Like, what? Why
Yeah.
would you do that?
No, it was. You're running. Why would you do that to yourself? I don't know. I didn't run around
I
the
could
parks.
probably use a few laps to run,
Well,
quite
there's
honestly. I
the
probably need it.
the thing is, if I would have done, I didn't know anything about like Run Disney events. If I would have done the 5K, it would have only been in like Epcot and then out through the parking lot. Like it's like really tiny. Where if you do the 10K, like you actually go through Hollywood Studios, then go through, like, it actually reminds me of like a loop I do quite frequently, but you go behind stage, behind the Tower of Terror, and then over and around past like the Swan and Dolphin, that area, and then through the International Gateway, and then pop out the front. So I'm like, okay, I can actually like in my head quantify how awful this is going to be.
I mean, I get enough of a workout just walking around Disney World. I'm good. Like,
Yeah. Oh, trust me,
that's fine.
I don't. I got bamboozled, and fool me once. I don't know. Maybe I'll really like it.
You're gonna be addicted now. You're like, I just signed up for my next
No,
Disney
no,
ride.
it's not me. It's not me at all. But we're gonna live in the past, and we're gonna do a Verizon phone stream, just like I didn't know what I was doing. So I'm gonna be a newbie again, starting
Aw,
and we listen. We'll
that's
all be
cute.
seeing each other in the new year. It's literally tomorrow.
Yeah, isn't that wild? And the
Hmm.
week that I'm coming to Disney World, I think a lot of the Disneyland people are coming too. I think they're descending at the same time. So it might be a big old thing because I hear a lot of people are going then. So I don't know.
Can I also openly admit, like, Lem is really good at like networking and knowing like everybody who's in the streaming space and the content creation space. I'm awful at it because
Oh, I'll introduce you.
I really am like more introverted than like I lead on to believe. It's okay like one on one, but when there's like a lot of people, I really like kind of just am like off to the corner, like, oh, this is kind of cool, you know. Like I'm not like
Okay.
a, oh, it's really nice to be, you know, because I'm not that dude.
Well, if
So you'll have
everybody's
to
coming,
sharpen
and
me through.
yeah, I'll double check and see who's coming. But if they're all kind of traveling that way, I'm gonna like as long as I get you connected with Sarah, Soulful Serotonin. She's the one who knows literally everybody. She's
She'll
like the
do the
world's
rest.
biggest extrovert, and she's amazing. And she will just connect you to everybody. So that's because I'm an
Hmm.
introvert too. But I just like made friends with Sarah, and then she's like, "Look, meet all these people." I'm like, "Oh, okay, great."
Yeah, see, it's a lot easier when somebody intros you versus like you having like I would not
You're
go
like,
out
"Okay,
of my
guys."
way and start like saying hi to people. This is my extent of it when I'm in the parks is oh my gosh, there's so and so. Like me talking to the live, oh my gosh, there's so and so, and everybody in the live's like, go say hi to him. I'm like, no, that's weird. I wouldn't say it. Why would I do that?
Oh my gosh. Well, when I went with my brother in the parks, he saw a group of like YouTubers he knew, and I'm like, I don't know like hardly any of the people on YouTube. And he was
Yeah,
just like, let's go say hi. I was like, like no, and he like walked right up to them and say hi. And I'm like, I'm so awkward. I like stood back and I'm like, what am I doing here? I'm like,
yeah,
don't look at
and
me.
it's also really
Blend in.
hard. It's really hard to like I don't know, live streaming is different in a lot of ways than static YouTube content or even like static TikTok content because like
Yeah.
you didn't really like this is going to sound so strange and disconnected but like hear me out. You didn't spend time with the person, you spent time with their show or their production or their content.
Yeah.
Do you know what I
No.
mean? Like
Yeah.
there's it's and I'm not saying that they're different people. They could be, they could not be. Like there's all those things, but like you'll only have what they've shown you, but not like that interactive piece. That's why I think like almost every content creator should do some sort of live function because it's amazing to connect with if it's just for audience purposes, like a group of people, that's fine, but it's the most gratifying form of content creation for me is when I can interact directly with the audience in a fun
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
You
Oh,
know?
it's so great. I like if I just made content and just put it out there and then didn't interact with anybody, I think I would stop because I love getting to talk to everybody and
Yeah,
like
I bet you
like
do. I bet you love when people are like, "You're wrong. You're
oh
lying
yeah, I don't
about
like
that."
that. No, I don't like that. But I do love interacting with most people that are actually like curious about Disney and really, like interested or like want to interact and
Yeah,
talk
because
about it.
it's
Like
it's that's your
let's
target
talk.
demo, and they want to ask questions. And every time you've done lives in the parks, and I know your access is less frequent, but anytime I've joined one of your lives and you're in the parks in Disneyland, like you're at home, you're at peace, and you are an expert. So I'll watch a prompt, like somebody will give like a little insular thing, and you're like boom showing a trapdoor into a thing that goes to somewhere else that has a story piece with the Imagineer attached to it. Like there's nothing all encompassing like that. So it's it's you can run both gambits, which I don't think is always necessarily the truth. Like I almost feel like there's a diffusion where it's either you're static or you're live. There's not a lot of like both.
Yeah. 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 I think like I like doing the lives, even though I was so stressed out in the first time I did it. But I like doing the lives because you really, I was kind of like taking friends with you in the park too. Like you get like to talk to people and chat and like hang
Dude,
out and
it's
not.
way less. Before I did it, I used to take a lot of like static content, and it wasn't lonely because it's not lonely. You're surrounded
Yeah.
by people, so it's not lonely. But anybody who's traveled alone, and obviously not doing content and doing like live streaming, like if you've traveled alone and you've experienced things and you've taken pictures and you've shared them with family members and stuff, like a lot of time is spent like absorbing and taking in things, but not really interacting with many things.
Yeah.
So unless you like meet up with people or make friends at a restaurant or whatever, and it's the live is just so different because like
It
then
is.
then you have all these like familiar faces who you're chatting with, and you are very much not alone. You
Yeah,
know?
and you're like making memories with people and they'll
Mm-hmm.
remember it. Like otherwise if you're just by yourself, you're just like, "Oh, that really cool thing happened to me," and like
Yeah.
you have nobody to share it with. But now like if you do it on live, like everybody remembers. Like when I was on the Juggle Cruise and we had like this most amazing cast member that just said like postcard and would like flash the lights to take it. And I was like, now I just say like postcard all the time. And I know that there's people out in the world that know what I'm talking about when I say
Well,
that.
so you develop the thing that's really unique is you develop like almost inside jokes,
Yeah.
and like these
It's
like
so
personal
fun.
things. And what happens is when people like come into the ecosystem, they're like, I don't get it. What is this? And it's actually you would think like for in most cases you'd be like, oh, this is off putting because I don't know what's going on. For most people, they want to learn more. So it's actually
Yeah.
like a really interesting, inquisitive thing too. So it's
Well,
fun.
then, and I love that everybody in like the Pocket Fam will explain anything to anybody. They're just like, "What are you talking
Yeah,
about?"
I
Somebody will
mean,
jump in and explain it.
I've been in lives where like you get ostracized real quick if like you ask questions, and I don't ask questions. I just sit there and lurk, and then I'm like, oh man, you definitely don't want to talk in this thing.
No, I love that the community that we're involved with is so open to answering people's questions, and they're not like even ones that have been asked like 20 times. People will still answer and not treat anybody like they're stupid or they should know or something. Like I love that.
Yeah,
We all just so
everyone
helpful.
wants everyone else to enjoy. That's it. The only thing that people don't tolerate are the values and things that you won't tolerate as the host. So, and
Mm-hmm.
it's interesting to see that too because there's like a self, not policing, but like a self enforcement of values and ethics within the group as well. So like even if somebody comes in and tries to like ruffle the feathers, and a lot of times it's not something that's like a negative thing, and because you can tell if somebody's coming in just to like disrupt, but there's sometimes like just needs like some gentle coaxing to the right, and
Yeah.
you watch the community do that, and then they become like longtime
Yeah, just
parts of Pocket
like
Fam.
this is just kind of this is kind of what we do here, not like
Right, right.
you can't do that, you're out of the club. Like it's like this is just kind of how we do things here.
Yeah, yeah, it's
We love
really
you and
it's
want you to hang out, but this is what we do.
yeah,
Yep.
it's really really
Yeah.
well done.
Yeah.
It's a really interesting thing because it's not like intuitive for any of us to like know or recognize how to do this. But then once you've created something together and it's cohesive together and you really like it, all of us want to protect that. So
Yeah.
I think that's really cool.
Yeah, and it's been really interesting as I'm writing this novel and thinking about our community and the way that we interact and like it's helped me to like see it, like step back and see it in a bigger picture, like because I have to think about how would I respond? Luckily, I'm in the chat all the time for you. So I'm already kind of like, I am someone who watches a live streamer. But, like thinking about our community and how we interact and how vital like that interaction is and how that impacts what the live streamer is doing and how they lean on their community. Like it's all a very interesting ecosystem is a good word for it, to think about what how it's a very different kind of interacting than I think that we have seen in the world at large for a long time. It's a very different kind of way of doing social media.
It's an interactive, if you do it really open and honest, which is really tough for a lot of people, and it just comes more natural the more you're open and understanding, it becomes this really amazing two-way street where we all grow and experience something together. And
Yeah. That's a
somebody
good way
asked
of putting
me
it.
a while ago, like, "Hey, why don't you like post replays? Like, because you can download your lives and post them." I'll never do that. I might do like one snippet if it's really good and we really enjoyed it and we don't want to lose it. But for the most part, it exists in the moment, and that's what's so
Yeah.
beautiful of it. It's like almost like I watch these Zen Buddhists who believe that the cause of all life is suffering, and the cause of our suffering is desire. So they build these amazing sand structures in art, and it's absolutely gorgeous. And as soon as they're done, this amazing thing, they don't even take a moment to like gratify and enjoy it. They just disrupt it and just ruin it, right? Because if you long for this painting or long for this artwork, it's will cause you suffering. So you have to like almost destroy it. And there's a parallel to that, not in a destructive way, but in the sense that the live is what lives and breathes, and the experiences that we share are just us for those people for that moment. And I think that's what's so beautiful.
Yeah, it's true. And I feel like it has a life of its own when it's happens live in that moment, because it's you experiencing this thing, it's everybody jumping in with their own things and you playing off of it, and that is not the same when it's static content. Sure, there's still like interaction with people, commenting and things, but it's not the same instant magic, I would say, as it is live. It's a different animal.
I think also too, because much like a choose your own adventure, this is your opportunity to help change the future of where we go, what we do, how we experience it. And there's like a sense of togetherness and nostalgia and memories that get created. And I hate to say that access is that significant, but for a lot of folks, and I think in the future too, it's it's not cost effective to go to Disney all the time. So it really is a special treat. And
Yeah.
I'm fortunate that I live here, so it's like you can still dip in and not just ride a ride. It can be more of like you're visiting the parks on a vacation with
Yeah.
people that you really care about, and you can be yourself and be fun and have stressed out moments and have excited, elated moments and surprise moments and angry moments. Like all of it exists, all those emotions are there. And I think like in a static content, that'll never exist unless you
Yeah.
really, really poured it out in a non theatrical way, which I think is hard to convey to an audience that this is real when you're being honest. Do you know what I mean? Like it's really hard to
Yeah.
do in a
Well,
static content form.
and I think we're so used to seeing almost like scripted YouTube videos of people going on rides, or ones that don't even have narration to it, and like, so it's a really different animal, because a lot of the things that you do that I would watch you do live is you just being your goofy, silly, fun self. And that, if you put a 15-hour YouTube video up of you doing that, I don't know if I would watch it, because you wouldn't necessarily be interacting with you
I
directly. It's
yeah,
like it's a whole different thing.
yeah,
Not
it's
that I don't like watching it, but you know
no,
what I
no, no,
mean.
no. But once again, if you can't experience it with the other people that you want to experience it with, like the community is a big part of it, right? Like it's
Yeah.
because you can catch up with your friends that you've made that you wouldn't have made if we didn't have this one niche together and we shared moments together in the parks. Like it's just really, and that's why like meeting anybody who's a part of Pocket Fam is never weird because you've spent so much time together, if that makes sense. Also,
Yeah.
I
It's
keep on thinking that somebody's coming up to my left side. I keep looking over like a looming, and it's the scarf. It's just the scarf. But like I
like
think
the ghosts have found you.
like I keep going.
The peripheral vision's getting you.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, I agree. I think I always love jumping into the chat, because sometimes I want to see what you're up to. Sometimes I want to watch what you're doing. Sometimes I just want to say hi to my friends.
yeah,
you
and I
know,
think I
That's
think
just great.
all of that exists. It's really it's crazy. It's crazy and
Yeah,
it's cool and it's fun and it's interesting and just I would have never expected any of this to occur. And I mean, luckily we have a platform that allows us to do so much. I know it has its quirks, but without this, we wouldn't have had shows together. We wouldn't have
I
been,
know.
like we wouldn't have developed
35
professional
episodes.
and it's like a friendship, but a professional side to it as well. And just like, I don't know. I don't know. It's really cool. And the amount of folks that have connected with one another that would have elsewise been suffering in silence, I think
Yeah.
is the most amazing magic out of all of
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
You
Agreed.
know,
100%.
strangers that are not strange at all. Well, I don't know about that.
We want to be a little strange. We're not strange to each other
Right,
anymore.
exactly.
I guess
You know,
it's a little bit strange. It's okay. We're
for
strange
sure.
together. It's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I feel like we got to wrap this up and
Yeah.
let everybody get back and get excited because tomorrow's New Year's. You guys can enjoy some time with some loved ones or celebrating by yourself to bring in the new year. And remember, I've been saying this in live streams the past couple just because we're coming up to the new year. Push yourself to do the one scary thing. I have a bunch of scary things that I have to do this year that I don't want to do, that I've been putting off this year. But if I want to get to a different place and continue to evolve this, I have to do a lot of scary things that I'm afraid of. So push yourself, write down a couple of goals, a couple of things that scare you the most, but know that you'll never regret failing or trying or tasting or experiencing. You know, whether it's big or small, it doesn't have to be like something crazy, or it could be something crazy, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I would also say put your goals that you write down somewhere where you can see them often and you're reminded of them. And I'll always use the SMART goals: specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time sensitive. So make sure that they are things you can actually achieve and that are very concrete, because then you will make progress. You will feel like things are snowballing and you're actually moving and doing things versus just kind of the abstract goals.
And I will also put this out there. Most people overestimate what they can get done in a year, but they grossly underestimate what you can do in a decade. So think
Yeah.
about what you want to accomplish in 10 years, not just in 1 year. Because if you, now, still try to accomplish as much as you can within a year because time is finite and we never know. But I will say plugging along and doing the boring, the mundane, but it's bringing you closer to, like, if you have your goals and you're staring at them every single day and you know that if you're wasting time that isn't helping push towards that, then you're just delaying what you're trying to achieve. So keep that cognizant, and I 2023 is our year for everybody. Let's get after it.
Absolutely. And I think don't let those voices that have told you in the past that you can't do it, don't let them be the reason you don't try. Because I think that you can do a lot more than you think you can. You just have to try. You have to go for it. Like we say, ship it. I've told that to Kirk before. You have to just ship it. You can sit on something for a long time. I had a friend, little side, I had a friend tell me that he has like 2 or 3 books in his head that he's like, someday I'll write. I was just like, you got to do it. You have to decide, I'm going to do this. Here's how I'm going to create a plan for how to do it, and I'm going to do it. That's how you get it done. You got to ship it. You got to send it out. You have to stop sitting on it and stop thinking in your mind, oh, what if, or I don't know if I can do this. You have to stop that cycle in your head where you think you can't do something, and you have to decide, I'm just going to go for it instead. So
The problem always is the idea is romantic, the work is the work. But guess what? If you love it and you really genuinely, and I think about this often, like, what else are you going to do with your time? Like, is there anything greater than working on something you really care about? I don't think so. There's nothing. So ship it.
Ship it. Ship it in 2023. Just do it. We'll steal something from Nike.
Well, you know what's funny is in poker, that's also a term for like pushing all your chips to the table. Ship it.
Yeah, I love
'em
that.
in.
What a cool metaphor for that. Like a good visual imagery. Just do it.
Put them in. Put them on the table.
What do you got to lose, really? Right?
Can always get more chips.
Yeah. Yep. Well, thank you. everybody for joining us for Distory tonight. Thank you for hearing us talk about the Haunted Mansion holiday and a few also encouraging words about goals for this next year as we close out 2022 together. This has been an amazing year for Kirk and I, for Distory, for us personally, I think, in our own careers, but mostly because we got to meet you and all of you and hang out with you and build relationships. Honestly, that is the most meaningful thing I know for me, and I'm guessing for Kirk too, if I'm speaking for you. But we really love and care about you guys, and we thank you for coming on this journey of Distory with us. And there's more to come in the new year. We don't know what yet, but something amazing. I believe that.
Kate and I would do this without you, but with you, it's so much better.
It is. It really is.
You run.
Yeah. I can't wait to see you again soon, Kirk. It'll be great. We'll be hanging in Florida.
Yeah, I'm gonna start writing a list over the weekend of some
me
stuff
too.
and start floating you some ideas for things that there's so many things I haven't done. You would think
Yeah.
I've done everything.
Yeah,
Not
me
even
too.
close.
We're gonna have to make a plan so we can do things.
Because there might be things that we have to like
Plan
get
out.
or
We're gonna have to- yeah.
reserve or do. I don't
Yeah.
know. It depends where we go with this. You know. So
Okay, we'll make some lists. It'll be great. I'm gonna go. I still haven't fed my kids dinner yet. I gotta go do that. And Elliot hurt his back, so everybody,
Oh,
send
no.
good thoughts and prayers and stuff to Elliot because he's down for the count. So, gonna go do that. Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful evening. Happy New Year, and I'll see you next year.
see you next year. See you guys. Love you. Thanks so much, and have a great weekend.
Bye, everybody. See ya.
Bye.
Bye.